Well, had sent over a slew of his chat logs with Maya. Leo scanned them briefly, and it was obvious his girlfriend's best friend was playing on a different level. With just a few lines of text, she had his buddy completely spellbound, even making him offer to buy her in-game skins. Combining that with her gameplay at the LAN center, which didn't match her supposed rank, Leo figured she was an e-girl who specialized in charming gamer nerds into boosting her account for free. From the chat history, though, it seemed that was all she did. The moment the conversation drifted toward money or meeting up in person, Maya would definitely find an excuse to sidestep it. Maybe that's her bottom line, Leo mused. He'd run into plenty of female players like that back in the day. Most not only tricked guys into boosting them, but also found every conceivable way to drain their wallets, conning them out of everything down to a Grubhub coupon. They were relentless. A girl like Maya, who only wanted the rank boost, was a first for him. A breath of fresh air in the scummy world of e-girls, in a way. After a short chat with Will, Leo quickly locked his phone. The sound of the shower had stopped. From the bed, he could see the hazy silhouette of Chloe through the frosted glass, toweling off and slipping into a robe. A moment later, the sliding door whispered open. Chloe emerged in a cloud of steam, walking gracefully toward the bed. Her exquisite face, still dotted with a few droplets of water, was flushed. Her gaze, a mix of playful annoyance and shyness, was fixed on him. She struck a mock-ferocious pose, a flimsy attempt to hide the nervous flutter in her heart. "I'm gonna go shower." Leo practically vaulted off the bed, slipping on his slides. As he passed her, he couldn't resist leaning in and planting a kiss on her rosy cheek. Chloe responded with a flurry of light punches against his chest before he darted into the bathroom for a haphazard rinse. Showering and drying his hair took him less than 10 minutes. Every second was precious, and on a night like this, he wasn't about to waste a single one. When he returned, Chloe was clutching the edge of the comforter, only her shy, clear eyes visible. She darted a nervous glance at him before quickly burrowing back into the warmth of the blankets. A warmth stirred in Leo's chest. He reached over and switched off the main lights, leaving only the dim, intimate glow of the bedside lamp. The bright, spacious hotel room was instantly transformed into a quiet, intimate sanctuary. He crept onto the bed, sliding under the covers and gently pulling Chloe's body, still fragrant with shower gel, into his arms. The moment his hand touched her, he felt a distinct tremor run through her. She was still nervous. "Babe, have you thought about what you want to do after graduation?" Leo asked, his voice low. He was experienced enough to know that in these situations, you had to put the woman at ease first. Small talk was the perfect tool. The anxiety in Chloe's eyes lessened slightly. "I haven't really decided. I used to think about going into fashion design, but it's so different from my major." Chloe was an economics major, a world away from art and design. It was a common story, students choosing a major they thought would lead to a successful career, pushing their real passions aside. Then, as graduation loomed, they realized the path they'd painstakingly followed wasn't any better than the one they dreamed of. "That's a great idea. If you want to do it, you should give it a shot," Leo said, gently stroking her warm skin. He was encouraging, his praise genuine. "You always dress so well. Even I can tell you have a real eye for fashion. What if you actually made a name for yourself? You could turn something you love into your job." "I actually thought about trying to transfer majors," Chloe admitted, his comfort drawing her out. "But I always felt like it would be a waste of the year I've already put in." "Who cares? If you want to do something, just do it," Leo soothed patiently. "You were born in '04, you're barely 20. You're too young to be carrying that kind of weight. If all else fails, you could always come make movies with me," he added, half joking. "You're so beautiful. I guarantee I could make you a bigger star than Scarlett Johansson." "I don't believe you," she said, but his rare praise made her happy. She snuggled closer, rubbing against his chest. "Scarlett Johansson is a huge star, and her body is amazing. Hey, my girlfriend body is nothing to scoff at," Leo declared, his hands starting to wander as he provided a vivid, hands-on demonstration. "Look at this waist. Look at these legs. Aren't they better than hers?" But she stacked, Chloe giggled, the last of her tension melting away. "Your girlfriend isn't quite there." In the soft lamplight, wrapped in her boyfriend's strong arms, Chloe blinked her bright eyes and asked the one question that was truly on her mind, her voice a mix of curiosity and anticipation. "Now, do you like them big or small?" "One, small. The perfect handful is best. 2, big. The kind that could suffocate a man. That's what I love. 3, just like you. They're my favorite because I get to experience the process of helping them grow myself. Just like you." They're my favorite, Leo said with a sly, suggestive smile. Because I really enjoy the process of helping them grow myself. You're so dirty. Chloe's face turned scarlet at his answer, but she couldn't hide her delight, wriggling happily in his arms. Leo's hand began to wander further. Babe, is this okay? Chloe froze for a second. Her eyes glistened, and her voice was a fragile mix of tears and pleading. Now, you have to be good to me. I'm giving you everything. Her heartbreakingly vulnerable look could have pierced a heart of stone. Even Leo felt a pang in his chest. The effect was devastating. I will, he promised, his voice sincere. No matter what happens, I'll be good to you for the rest of my life. It was a commitment he would never break. Hearing the normally laid-back Leo make such a serious promise filled Chloe with joy. A smile as radiant as a starry night bloomed on her beautiful face. Ding! Chloe Miller's affinity has increased by 5 points. Current affinity, 65. Please continue your efforts. Leo, I like you so much. And with that, the once shy elf princess wrapped her slender, pale arms around his neck and pressed her lips fiercely against his. In the early morning, dark clouds rolled in, followed by flashes of lightning and claps of thunder. A downpour began. The icy rain hammered against the glass, and the noise woke Leo. He opened his eyes and stared blankly for a moment before picking up his phone from the pillow. It was just after 7, but the sky outside was so dark and oppressive it felt like dusk. Leo, naked, got out of bed, went to the bathroom, and came back. He glanced around the messy room and couldn't help but smile. The armchair, which had been in the corner, was now inexplicably in front of the TV. Chloe's robe was lying in a heap by the floor-to-ceiling window. Chloe herself was fast asleep on the large, soft bed. Her pale, delicate feet, feeling the cold air, twitched and adorably retreated back under the covers. Outside, the rain fell in sheets, creating a quietness like the end of the world. Inside, his beautiful girlfriend was sleeping soundly, mumbling in her dreams. The sense of pure bliss was on par with learning you have the next day off, opening your laptop to find your game has finished updating, seeing all your friends online, and then hearing a storm break outside. Was there any better feeling in the world? Leo rubbed his hands together gleefully and eagerly slid back into bed. He gathered Chloe's warm, soft body into his arms, gently kissed her sweet lips, and closed his eyes again, drifting off to the magnetic sound of her soft snoring. It wasn't until around noon that Leo was jolted awake by his ringtone. Damn it, who the hell has no decency? He grumbled, opening his eyes. He got out of bed, naked, and fished his phone from his jacket pocket. It was Derek Flynn. Glancing at Chloe, who was still snoozing, Leo lowered his voice and walked toward the window. Hey, Derek, what's up? Leo, my man, I'm on set. The equipment you bought arrived. I signed for it. Derek's enthusiastic voice was almost as loud as the rain. The agency told me the actors you picked are all available. They're asking when you want to start shooting. Leo glanced at the relentless rain outside. If it's not raining tomorrow, I'll be there. Thanks, Derek. I owe you dinner. No trouble, no trouble. Another friend is another ally, right? After a few more pleasantries, Leo hung up. He leaned back against the headboard, lazily planning his next steps. Who was that? Chloe murmured, pushing herself up with the thick comforter still draped over her. She sleepily sat on his lap, clinging to him like a little koala. Feeling her smooth skin against his, Leo felt a familiar stir, but he explained, director friend. He said the actors are all available. Chloe rested her chin on his chest, blinking her drowsy eyes. Does that mean you're going to be busy now? Leo stroked her messy hair. Yeah, can't just play around all day. Well, you'd better work hard, Leo, Chloe said, swinging her feet happily. Her voice was full of encouragement. I hope you become a famous director someday. Maybe all the big stars will be begging you to cast them. Chloe didn't know the specifics of what Leo did, only that he was making videos to earn money. But that's how a truly supportive girlfriend was. She wouldn't meddle in a field she didn't understand or try to tell you how to do your job. She'd just be there, like Chloe, cheering you on from the sidelines. Haha, here's hoping, Leo said with a weak smile. He had no desire to be a famous director. Being a behind-the-scenes writer who raked in the cash was more than enough for him. Chloe rested on his chest for a moment, then suddenly noticed a change in him. She pouted, her cheeks puffing out as she gave him a light slap. Hey, why are you always like this? You're so bad. What am I like? Leo propped himself up, a cocky grin on his face. He lifted her hips, settling her between his legs. You stop moving. The thrilling motion made Chloe blush crimson, and she slapped at his arms repeatedly. You're so bad. And your mom said you used to be so honest and well-behaved, so nice to girls, Chloe said, pinching his cheek. I think you were just the quiet, secretly perverted type. Definitely not some nerd. Leo didn't deny it, playfully rubbing his nose against hers. Yeah, so do you regret it? My elf princess. Chloe didn't answer, just gave him a cute eye roll that said it all. But just as Leo was about to reconnect, Chloe's phone rang, making them both jump. Chloe, supporting her aching lower back, sat up and reached for her phone on the nightstand. It was her dad, Don Miller. Leaning back into Leo's arms, she shot him a nervous gesture before anxiously answering the call. Hey, Dad. Chloe, where were you last night? It's pouring out here. When are you coming home? I was at Maya's last night. I'll be back in a bit. Well, come back soon. Your great uncle is coming over tonight. He said it's been a long time since he's seen you. Oh, okay. I know. Ugh. Leo, I can't hang out with you today, Chloe said, hanging up with a gloomy expression. A relative is coming over tonight, so I have to go back and say hi. All right, Leo sighed, disappointed. For the next few days, it looked like their time together would be limited to phone calls. Leo, what are you doing? Chloe grabbed his arm as he started to get up and dress. My relative isn't coming until tonight. Are you really going to send me home in this downpour? Leo's spirits lifted. Didn't you just tell your dad you were coming home in a bit? So, does that mean? Dummy, I'll just text Maya and have her make up an excuse for me. Besides, it's raining so hard. Chloe finished her mock complaint, then lifted her chin defiantly. And don't get any ideas. I just want to be lazy in bed a little longer. It's so nice for sleeping when it's raining. Seeing her transparently proud attempt to save face, Leo dove back under the covers and pulled her into his arms. Hey, be gentle. You're pulling my hair. The next morning, the downpour finally ceased, replaced by a winter sun that carried a distinct chill. The sky outside was cloudless and bright, the world quiet, beautiful, and full of energy. Leo was up early, brushing his teeth. Today he had to get to L.A. to start shooting the short-form series based on his novel. The equipment was ready, the actors were scheduled, and there was no rain to stop him. It was time to get serious about making some money. Only after he had established himself as financially independent in the eyes of his family and friends could he comfortably, and without any reservations, start showing off the things the system had rewarded him with. After getting ready, Leo grabbed his keys and phone and opened his door just in time to see Lily Reed across the hall, leaving to buy breakfast to bring back for him. Good morning, Lily said, locking her door and turning to him with a polite, happy greeting. Good morning? What is this? Are we just neighbors or are we dating? Get over here, Leo scoffed, casually waving his right hand as if summoning a pet cat. Lily understood immediately, her face lighting up as she practically skipped over to him, happily linking her arm through his. Her eyes were filled with his reflection. You don't have to give me breakfast today. We'll go out, and I'll drive you to campus afterward, Leo said, squeezing the fabric of her fleece-lined jacket. And it's getting cold. Make sure you dress warm like this when you go out. Okay, you too, she replied, deeply touched by the small gesture of concern. She subconsciously squeezed the thick edge of his jacket, a relieved smile on her face. Not far from their apartment complex was a small street where several food car vendors had set up for the morning rush. Leo wasn't picky. He found a spot to park, and they sat down at an empty table. After ordering some donuts and coffee, they started to chat. The personality difference between Leo and Lily was stark, obvious just from their conversation. Leo did all the talking, while Lily either nodded or murmured, all while diligently peeling a hard-boiled egg for him. If it weren't for the focused way she listened and the peeled egg she held up to his mouth, you might mistake her for some aloof ice queen. Even the way they sat was completely different. Leo slouched casually on the small stool, while Lily sat with her back perfectly straight, her hands resting primly on her knees as she watched him quietly. When Leo finished his egg, Lily would grab another and continue to peel it with intense concentration. When he caught her looking at him for too long, a faint blush would creep up her cheeks, and she'd quickly look away. For the holidays, are you staying in Portland or going back home to be with your grandmother? Leo asked tentatively, taking a sip of coffee. Christmas was only 2.5 months away, and Leo's situation was complicated. He needed to figure out where all the women in his life stood before the holidays arrived, so he could plan how to handle his social obligations. He definitely had to spend time with Isabel and Maddie. For a woman like Isabel, who longed for the warmth of a family, a major holiday like Christmas was far more important than Valentine's Day. He had forgotten to ask Chloe yesterday in their rush, but he'd find time to ask her again. Eleanor's family was wealthy and powerful. She probably wouldn't need him around. That just left the sweet, simple girl in front of him. Lily answered honestly, "My great-aunt invited me back, and my grandma called a while ago saying she missed me." "Your great-aunt? Is she good to your grandma and your sister?" Leo asked, watching her micro-expressions for clues about her family situation. "Yes, she is," Lily nodded. "She helped pay for a lot of my tuition, and she helped my grandma and sister apply for all their financial aid." "Oh, that's good," Leo said, slightly relieved. It seemed not all relatives were unreliable. "So, would it be okay if I came to visit your family for the holidays?" "I've never been to Idaho," Leo asked directly. "I keep seeing those TikToks of that guy pouring lava on stuff. It makes me want to go try some of that crazy-looking roasted lamb." "Huh, you want to come to my house?" Lily was clearly startled. "What? Am I not welcome?" Leo tilted his head. "No, that's not it," she quickly denied, her voice small and self-conscious. "My house is really run down, and the roads are bad. It would take you a long time to drive there." Stop. Just tell me if you want me to come or not," Leo said, cutting through the excuses. "I do." Lily nodded immediately. Of course, she wanted her grandmother and great-aunt to meet the boy she liked. "Then that's settled. What's all this other nonsense?" Leo said, peeling an egg and handing it to her. After a moment of thought, he added, "It's decided then. A few days before Christmas, I'll drive you home and stay for a couple of days." "Okay," Lily agreed happily, accepting the egg as if it were a precious gift. She took a bite, then hesitated before saying seriously, Before Christmas, I'd also like to meet your parents and the two sisters you mentioned." "Maybe next year," Leo said, calmly sipping his coffee. "My parents have really busy jobs. I don't even know if they'll be back for the holidays this year." "Oh, I see." Lily didn't seem suspicious, but then she asked, "Will your two sisters be there? Can I meet them?" "They live in Florida. They're probably busy studying for finals right now," Leo deflected smoothly. "Anyway, if they do come back for the holidays, I'll introduce you to my family." For someone as timid and introverted as Lily to bravely suggest meeting his family, it meant she already saw him as her future. But in his current situation, how could Leo possibly let her meet his parents? If they found out how he'd been playing the field, he'd be getting read the riot act in front of every relative on Christmas morning. "But if they don't come back, won't you be all alone for Christmas?" Lily asked, her voice full of concern. Leo laughed. "Why else do you think I want to go to your place?" He shifted gears, his tone becoming teasing. "You're so eager to meet my parents. You're not already planning on marrying into my family and becoming my little wifey, are you?" He was trying to cleverly change the subject. Normally, a comment like that would make Lily blush and fall silent, allowing him to steer the conversation elsewhere. But this time, Lily looked at him seriously for a long moment. She hesitated, her face turning crimson. She clenched her hands into fists on her knees, lowered her head slightly, and answered with quiet determination. "Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking." Leo was floored. He never expected Lily to admit something like that so directly. It was true what they said. Sincerity is the ultimate weapon. Faced with such an earnest and pure-hearted girl, even Leo, who considered himself a hardened cynic, found the usual glib lines stuck in his throat. The atmosphere at the small table grew heavy. Lily seemed to sense it, and she asked in a small, anxious voice, Is that okay with you?" "Of course it's okay. After everything, why wouldn't it be?" Leo took a large gulp of coffee and broke into a broad smile. "My parents would probably love you. If they come home for the holidays this year, I'll take you to meet them." "Okay." Lily's anxiety vanished, replaced by a radiant, hopeful smile. In her mind, her future with Leo was already set in stone. She had no idea that his sentence was about to be followed by a very big but Leo's but arrived. "We're still young. You're only a freshman. You've still got years of school ahead of you. You'll have things to do after you graduate, and I have my videos to shoot. I'm probably going to get even busier." He softened his tone. "Once things have settled down for both of us, we can seriously think about the future, okay?" "Okay, that's fine," Lily agreed without hesitation. "I can wait for you. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Don't worry, just take your time." She wasn't expecting to get married while she was still in school anyway. That was something that would have to wait until after graduation, after they'd met each other's parents. TSK. Look at you, Lily Reed. You seem so quiet and dazed all the time, but the moment you open your mouth, it's all about marriage, Leo teased, chewing on a warm donut. "Admit it, you've been after my body this whole time, haven't you? The marriage talk is just a cover." Hearing him completely reverse their roles made Lily a little embarrassed. But unlike before, she didn't shrink away shyly. Instead, with a slight blush on her cheeks, she didn't answer or deny it. She just kept eating her donut with a beatific smile, clearly in an exceptionally good mood. Being on the same page as the boy she liked filled the simple girl with immense joy. Later, after they got in the car, Leo didn't even have to hint at anything. The normally shy and introverted girl proactively swung her legs toward him, the invitation obvious. "Wow, you're so bad." Leo shot her a disdainful look, but his body betrayed him as he placed his hand on her soft, full thigh, gently exploring. He drove to a parking lot not far from Portland State University and pulled into a space. "It's Monday, so there are a lot of students around. It'll be hard for me to turn around up ahead. You can walk from here. If I get off work early tonight, I'll come back and have dinner with you." It was Monday, and the campus entrance was swarming with students. Chloe, her friends, and her roommates would all be heading to class. Even if the chances of running into them were low, Leo wasn't about to bet his life on it. If he were just hooking up with them, without any official relationship status, he might have risked it. If he got caught, he could just coolly explain, "She's my friend/neighbor. If you don't believe me, that's your problem." Unfortunately, his player skills weren't quite at that level yet. He hadn't been able to resist making things official with both of them, effectively cutting off all his escape routes. If he dropped Lily off right at the campus entrance and ran into Chloe, and both girls started firing questions. "Who is this? What's your relationship with Leo? Do you know I'm his girlfriend? What? You're his girlfriend too?" It would be a disaster zone of epic proportions. 10 mouths wouldn't be enough to talk his way out of that. "Okay," Lily agreed thoughtfully. She unbuckled her seatbelt and grabbed her worn shoulder bag, then looked at him, hesitating as if she wanted to say something. Unlike Chloe, who became bold and affectionate after they got together, Lily wasn't one to initiate romantic gestures. She could only look at him with longing eyes. A normal guy might not have understood what she wanted and just asked, "What's wrong?" But Leo simply opened his arms. "Come on, give me a kiss." Lily didn't speak or refuse, just looked at him shyly. For her, not saying no was the same as saying yes. "Hey, you have to move a little closer," Leo said, exasperated. "There's not that much space in here, and your boyfriend isn't a giraffe. If you don't move, how am I supposed to reach you?" Only then did Lily scoot over, her heart pounding as she waited for him to take the lead. "You silly girl," Leo murmured affectionately, before capturing her soft, full lips with his own. To date, Leo had kissed 4 different women. Chloe's kisses tasted like a first love. Her responses were reserved, yet passionate, sweetening the very air around them. Isabel's depended on her mood. Sometimes she was shy and needed him to lead. Other times she was like a wildfire, so fervent he worried he couldn't handle her. Eleanor was just being bitten by a beautiful psycho. There wasn't much feeling to it, still under observation. As for the sweet dummy in front of him, Lily was shy and passive. Even when she wanted to kiss him, the moment their lips met, she would become incredibly nervous. Her timid nature meant she could only let the boy she liked have his way with her, offering no resistance at all. After a long moment, Leo pulled back, stroking her flushed, beautiful face. Satisfied, he asked with a raised eyebrow. Lily's eyes were hazy, in a voice as soft as a whisper. It could have been a complaint, a come on, or a way of showing off her assets. She murmured, "Next time, can you not use your hands? Just a nice kiss." 1. Refuse sincerely. "No, I like it this way. If you don't, we won't kiss next time." 2. Ask sarcastically. "Don't be ridiculous. I'm not an octopus. I only use my hands. When did my feet get involved?" 3. Kiss her wildly, pull her onto your lap, and say commandingly, "Babe, you should skip class today. I want to test this car suspension." "Don't be ridiculous. Your boyfriend's not an octopus," Leo explained with a cheeky grin. "I only use my hands. When did my feet get involved? I'll sue you for slander." Lily pouted, giving him a wounded look as she subtly rubbed her chest, seemingly accustomed to her boyfriend's shameless antics. "All right, get to campus," Leo said, wiping a tiny smudge from the corner of her lips. "I'll try to be back early tonight, and we'll get dinner." "Okay." Lily nodded, gratified, and got out of the car with her bag. As Leo drove past, she raised her hand and waved, her face beaming with happiness. He drove past the entrance to Portland State University. The area was packed with students and haphazardly parked cars. A few campus security guards were trying to direct the chaos. Just then, Leo's eyes caught a flash of movement on the sidewalk ahead. 2 girls were walking side by side, laughing and talking. It was Chloe and her best friend, Maya. "Shit, what are the odds?" Leo muttered, a chill running down his spine. He instinctively rolled up his window. Unfortunately, his windows weren't tinted, so people could still see inside. He was close, maybe 25 feet away. The chaos of illegally parked cars made it impossible to just turn around and leave. He was stuck, inching forward at a crawl. If Chloe glanced toward the road, she would definitely recognize his BMW M8. And knowing her bubbly personality, she would absolutely shout a greeting. Anywhere else, Leo wouldn't have worried about running into her. He might have even pulled over to flirt for a minute. But this was her university. If he got out of the car to talk to her, other students would see them. As the campus beauty's never-before-seen boyfriend, he'd likely be photographed and plastered all over the PSU subreddit, his face becoming campus gossip. Someone might even dig up the fact that he was a student there, too. More importantly, Lily probably didn't follow the campus subreddit. But if she did, and she saw a post about him and Chloe, his whole two-timing operation would detonate. Lily was probably walking toward the entrance right now. Even if other students didn't notice, his flashy car was a beacon. If Lily saw it, her attention would be drawn to it, and that would also lead to a dead end. There was no way he could get out of this car. Just then, Chloe's gaze flickered in his direction. She squinted for a moment, and then a brilliant, surprised smile spread across her face. She raised a slender arm and yelled, "Leo, I'm over here." In the driver's seat, Leo flinched as he faintly heard her voice. His mind raced. Using his peripheral vision, he saw Chloe jogging toward the street, apparently determined to talk to him. Leo quickly grabbed his phone, mashed the horn to create a distracting noise, and put on a serious expression as if he were on an urgent call. The drivers of the cars parked crookedly ahead were initially annoyed by the blaring horn. But when they saw in their rearview mirrors that it was a distinctive BMW, they instinctively made way. They knew they were in the wrong for blocking the lane and didn't have the nerve to argue with someone rich. Without a moment's hesitation, Leo slammed his foot on the gas, rocketing past a bewildered Chloe on the sidewalk. Did he not even hear me yelling? Chloe stood there, stunned, before angrily pulling out her phone to type a furious message. "Elf Princess, you just drove past the university entrance. Didn't you hear me calling you?" He obviously had somewhere urgent to be. "Can't you see that?" Maya teased with a smile. "Besides, you tortured the poor guy all day yesterday. He has to work today. Are you still not going to let him go?" "I did not. Stop talking nonsense." Chloe's face flushed red, and she playfully tried to pinch her friend's cheek, chasing her all the way to the campus gate. As they reached the entrance, still laughing, Maya's eyes suddenly lit up. She tugged on Chloe's arm. "Chloe, look at that girl. Her body is incredible." "Whoa, you're right," Chloe said, swallowing hard as if facing a formidable rival. "That's insane, right? She must be a D-cup." Lily overheard their conversation. Her face turned red, and she instinctively crossed her arms over her chest, quickening her pace into the campus. "That's terrifying. How is that even possible?" Chloe looked down at her own modest figure and sighed, feeling a little dejected. Maya saw right through her. "Chloe," she said slyly, "back in high school, you always said size didn't matter. Why the long face now?" "It doesn't matter. Anyone who thinks bigger is better has something wrong with them," Chloe retorted proudly, puffing out her chest. "Besides, Leo said he doesn't like big ones. He likes mine, just the way they are." "Chloe, you can lie to me, but don't lie to yourself. What guy doesn't like big ones?" Maya said, clearly unconvinced. She lowered her voice conspiratorially. "But you don't have to worry too much. Just get Leo to help you out. You know what they say online, right? A boyfriend is more effective than a month of eating papaya and drinking milk." "Huh? Does that really work?" The two were best friends who talked about everything, so there was no embarrassment. Chloe asked with genuine curiosity. "Leo said something like that yesterday, too. I thought he was joking. It actually works." "You'll have to try it and see. I don't have a boyfriend, so how would I know?" Maya grinned. "Or, I could go find Leo and try it out, then report back on the results." "Maya, damn it, I am never, ever giving her a ride again." Leo breathed a sigh of relief, his heart still pounding from the near disaster. He made a mental note. From now on, under no circumstances would he personally drive Lily to school. His phone buzzed. It was Chloe. "You just drove past the university entrance. Didn't you hear me calling you?" Pouting piggy emoji. Leo thought for a moment and decided not to reply immediately. He'd wait until lunchtime to explain. The longer he waited, the more it would seem like he really had been in a huge rush. In that state, it was plausible he wasn't paying attention to his surroundings and hadn't heard her. If he replied at noon or in the evening, it would seem like he was squeezing in time to explain, which would paradoxically make Chloe feel like he cared about her a lot. Leo drove to the studio lot in L.A., pulling up to the location he had rented, a nondescript open area and a few older, retro-style buildings. He was just shooting a low-budget short-form series based on his novel, not some blockbuster with a multi-million-dollar budget like Arthur Shaw. He didn't need a huge space. A dressing room, a prop room, a break room for the actors, all the basics were there, combined with his divine talent. Master director, it was more than enough to bring his popular novel to life. Director Shepard, good morning, a young woman in a period costume called out, walking over with a friendly smile. This was Tanya Young, the lead actress Leo had signed from the agency. She was also a moderately famous beauty influencer on TikTok. For every role, lead, or supporting, Leo had used his system to check out the candidates at the agency. As long as they looked the part, the price was right, their figure was good, their acting skills were adequate, and they didn't have any major skeletons in their closet, he signed them on the spot. Take Tanya, for example. The system noted that 30% of her assets were synthetic, but as long as it didn't affect her appearance and gave the impression she could knock someone over with them, Leo didn't care. After a brief chat with Tanya, Leo moved on, making the rounds with the rest of the crew, getting to know everyone, and discussing the work ahead. Director Shepard, I'm Evan Cole, playing the male lead, Ethan. I'd already read your novel. I couldn't believe I got to play the main character. I was so excited last night, I couldn't sleep. Director, for the costumes, I suggest we go with a style inspired by the Tang Dynasty. It fits the protagonist's background and the world of your novel better. Director, I'm a special effects artist. We met the other day. Director, I'm the cinematographer. I noticed the lead and supporting actresses have great figures. I suggest we get plenty of shots of what the audience likes to see. The standards for short-form content aren't as strict as for films. I do it all the time for other directors. Leo's reply, good insight. Tonight, edit the key shots and send them to me for review first. Before Leo had even arrived, the crew had already done their research on the author-turned-director. Derek Flynn, whose project next door was raking in cash, had quietly let it slip that this young director seemed to have deep connections with Arthur Shaw. Naturally, none of them dared to pull rank on a newcomer. Plus, Leo's social skills were already polished to a fine sheen. Within an hour, all 20 crew members were treating the young director with a friendly and respectful demeanor. By 9 o'clock, everyone was in position, and the actors had all arrived on time. Leo gathered them for a quick meeting to outline his expectations. After a brief discussion, he decisively set them in motion. All right, actors to your places, Leo said, holding a script and sitting in front of the monitor showing the camera's perspective. He gave the order. Episode 1, Scene 1, Take 1. Action. As filming progressed, Leo's expression grew increasingly stern. The actors' clumsy performances weren't delivering even half of the potential he'd seen with his system. The reason was simple. It was a low-budget series, and he was an unknown director. The actors weren't taking it seriously. They lacked the focus and intensity they'd bring to a real movie. But Leo had no intention of letting them half-ass it on his dime. He picked up the walkie-talkie and started giving directions, his tone growing sharper, peppering his feedback with curses that made the actors blush with shame. Supporting actress, can you please focus? You're being stabbed by the villain, not fainting from anemia. Hey, you the extra. You have one line, and you flubbed it twice. Can you not even memorize a single sentence? Ethan, what the hell are you doing? That's the legendary god-slaying sword from the mystic realm, not a stick for whacking weeds. Can you put some passion into your expression? Tanya, where are your tits? The audience needs to see them. I told you to fall on your side. Who are you hiding them for? Lying flat on the ground. God damn it. Do I have to scream at you people to get you to act? Reset the shot. Everyone on set, actors and crew alike, was stunned by Leo's explosive temper. They couldn't believe the friendly, easygoing director from an hour ago could be so ruthless, showing them absolutely no mercy. And so, the actors who had planned to coast through the shoot began to take this low-budget series seriously. Those waiting for their scenes nervously rehearsed their lines and practiced their movements, terrified of drawing Leo's wrath. They had no choice. The director was king, they'd been paid, and they'd signed contracts. If anyone dared to talk back, they'd be facing a penalty of 3 times their fee. Of course, it wasn't just his harsh criticism that won them over. It was the fact that Leo genuinely knew what he was doing. Everyone there was an industry professional. They could tell in an instant whether a director was competent or just faking it. Leo's directing skills were exceptional, and everyone could feel it. His level of expertise was not that of a rookie, but of a seasoned, tyrannical veteran of the film set. Under Leo's relentless coaching and cursing, the actors' performances improved visibly, and the cinematographer's work became much sharper. Leo would frequently step onto the set himself, giving hands-on instruction, showing them how to deliver lines with real emotion. The scenes they had scheduled to finish by 10 p.m. were wrapped before 8. As they began to pack up, still shaken, a few of the more sensitive actresses looked like they were on the verge of tears, their faces pinched and their eyes red. People on the next lot over were saying you're a real beast when you direct. I thought they were joking. Derek Flynn, who had wandered over, handed Leo a cigarette with a wry smile. Look at what you did to those girls. Just trying to make a good show, Leo said, taking the cigarette and tucking it behind his ear. He then clapped his hands loudly, getting the crew's attention. Everyone, hold up a second. Today was our first day of shooting. I've booked a few tables at the J Pavilion to reward everyone for their hard work today. The J Pavilion? The crew exchanged glances, their expressions visibly brightening. That was a high-end place where dinner could easily run $100 a person. In the next moment, Leo was back to his shameless, cheerful self, chatting with the crew, even throwing an arm around a few of the male actors. The tyrannical director was gone, replaced once again by the easygoing guy they'd met that morning. Clever kid, Derek murmured from the side, nodding in approval. A punch, then a piece of candy. You know what you're doing. This guy was nothing like a rookie director. The next morning, Leo drove to Waterfront Park to pick up the little heiress, Eleanor Hayes, for a visit to the set. Winter had just arrived, and the Portland air was bitingly cold. The sky was a heavy, oppressive gray, and pedestrians walked with their heads tucked into their collars. Only the tourists, bundled up, were still cheerfully taking pictures of the skyline, their laughter turning into visible puffs of white mist in the air. The forecast even predicted snow in the coming days. Leo gripped the cold steering wheel, scanning the curb. He quickly spotted the imposing black Rolls-Royce Phantom. He pulled up alongside it, honked once, and cheekily flicked his windshield wipers as a greeting. The door of the Rolls-Royce clicked open. The bodyguard he'd met before got out first, standing like a fortress behind the open door, his hands holding it steady. After Eleanor emerged at a leisurely pace, the bodyguard jogged over to Leo's BMW, expressionlessly opened the passenger door, patted the seat with a white-gloved hand, and then held his burly arm over the doorframe, gently guiding Eleanor into the car. Only after she was settled did he softly close the door and speed away in the Rolls-Royce. You rich people really know how to live, Leo remarked, glancing at Eleanor's cool, beautiful face. You don't even have to open your own doors. All bodyguards are like this, Eleanor explained matter-of-factly. Her eyes drifted to Leo's hand, and a faint blush colored her cheeks as she seemed to be steeling herself for something. Leo hit the gas, his hands on the wheel. Let's get one thing straight. I can't take you out today. I have to work on set. That's fine. I can wait until you're finished, Eleanor said, unconcerned. While waiting at a red light, Eleanor nonchalantly took Leo's hand. The car was too small for what she really wanted, so she settled for placing his hand on her cheek, caressing it adoringly, a hazy, captivated look in her eyes. Leo was used to the peculiar heiress by now. Your hand is so cold, he teased. You've been spending a lot of time on your private life lately, haven't you? Eleanor tilted her head. Private life? What do you mean? Leo just smiled, not bothering to explain. Can't you just be normal for once? He said as she instinctively parted her lips. He snatched his hand back, his heart pounding. Just touch my hand like a normal person. Do you always have to be thinking about that stuff? I'm driving, Your Highness. I'm begging you, please stop trying to turn this into something dirty. It's fine. Just drive slowly. There aren't many cars on the road, Eleanor said, a hint of hunger in her voice as she reached for his hand again, eager to do something unspeakable. Her repeated advances were starting to get on his nerves. Damn it, I'm driving. Don't make me smack you. Eleanor's breathing instantly quickened. She pleaded, her voice urgent. Quickly, Leo. Do it. Smack me. Leo. Ethan, what is your problem? Tanya weighs less than 120 pounds. You can't hold her in a princess, Carrie, for a few seconds? Camera cut down to his legs. I'll do it myself. Supporting actress. What the hell are you doing? Tanya weighs less than 120 pounds. You can't hold her in a princess, Carrie, for a few seconds? Camera cut down to his legs. I'll do it myself. Supporting actress. What the hell are you doing? I told you to give a playful cry, not a moan from a porno. You're playing a wandering swordswoman, not the top girl at a brothel. Yes, that's it. Tanya, great work today. Camera, focus on her feet first. Pan up slowly from her feet. Slow the pan on her upper body. Then, a close-up on her profile. Damn it, it took 3 takes for that simple shot. I'm done with you all. One more time. If you can't get it right, get the hell out of here. All right, that's a wrap for now. Everyone take a lunch break. We'll shoot the next scenes after. At 2 in the afternoon, after successfully filming 3 full episodes, Leo let the actors break for lunch. Although their performances had improved, he still saw plenty of flaws and had lost his temper several times during the shoot. Sometimes, he couldn't hold back the stream of curses. In this high-pressure environment, all the crew members had developed a healthy fear of their mercurial director. When they weren't filming, Leo was as friendly and easygoing as could be, even chatting casually with the grips moving equipment. But the moment the cameras started rolling, he became a different person. If an actor's performance was over the top, their movements stiff, or they failed to deliver, he became absolutely ruthless, stopping just short of physical violence. In reality, bosses with such volatile temperaments were common. The more successful the company, the more aggressive the boss, often with a gangster-like demeanor. The highest level of leadership was an intimidating presence that commanded respect without anger. These bosses are the most unpredictable. One second, they could be chatting with you pleasantly, the next you could be packing your desk. It was a necessity. When you're the one signing the paychecks and leading a team, you can't be a pushover, especially as a no-name rookie director like Leo. If he had been polite and accommodating on the first day, they would have subconsciously written him off as weak and easy to manipulate. His own father, David Shepard, was a perfect example. His first job was as a construction site foreman. When he first visited a news site, he passed out cigarettes and talked amicably with the workers. The next day, no one would listen to his instructions. A few of the hot-tempered workers even talked back to him. So, David changed his approach. He started chewing out anyone who did a poor job and frequently threatened them with fines or termination. After a few days of this, the workers would see him coming from a distance and run over to offer him a cigarette. The bottom line was, when you're out in the world, you have to own your mistakes and take your lumps. Outside of work, a boss and employee could be friends. But once you take their money, you have to deliver. If you don't, you fully deserve to be chewed out. Leo, are you always like this when you direct? Eleanor asked, holding a cheap styrofoam lunchbox, her tone urgent. Can I help out? Don't even think about it. I know what you're thinking, Leo said with the patient smile one reserves for the mentally challenged. We don't hire perverts on this set. For the next half a month, Portland remained under a blanket of dreary, oppressive weather. The cold air tightened its grip on the bustling city, growing more severe each day, hinting at the imminent arrival of snow. In stark contrast to the grim weather was the progress of Leo's production. In just 2 weeks, they had shot over 30 episodes of the series, covering more than 300 chapters of the novel. Under Leo's guidance, the pace of filming had accelerated, and the quality had steadily improved. The actors' skills had grown by leaps and bounds. Any given episode, from its plot to its performances, looked less like a low-budget short and more like a condensed, high-quality martial arts film. All that was left was for the post-production team to add the special effects. Then, with an ad buy on TikTok, Leo could finally reap the rewards of his hard work. Director Shepard, post-production, says they can have all the effects done by tomorrow at the earliest. Lindsay Carter, his operations officer, reported as they wrapped for the evening. She was there to discuss the launch strategy. I just think releasing 5 episodes for free to attract viewers might be a bit of a loss. Our cost per episode is over $1,000. Lindsay was 22, tall, and wore black frame glasses. She was a recent college graduate who had majored in digital media. The day after Leo posted the job opening, she had shown up to apply. After a quick scan with the system, Leo saw that while she lacked experience, her skills were a perfect match, and she was meticulous and diligent. That was exactly what he needed, so he hired her. Jobs for college grads were scarce, and Lindsay cherished this one, handling every task Leo gave her with impeccable organization. Leo was typing on his phone. He looked up and asked, Lindsay, have you ever paid to read a web novel? I'm a little embarrassed to admit it, director, but I usually read pirated versions online, she said with a self-deprecating smile, adjusting her glasses. I only pay for the later chapters if I find a novel I really, really love. And when you pay, Leo continued, isn't it usually because the chapter right before the paywall ends on a massive cliffhanger? Yes, exactly. I was reading this billionaire romance a while back, and the heroine's son was just about to meet his father for the first time, and then bam, the next chapter was paid. I couldn't help myself. I spent over $10 to buy the rest of the book. That's my point. Novels and short-form series are the same, Leo explained methodically. The first 5 episodes of our show lead up to a small climax. The 6th episode is where the big payoff happens, the part that hooks the viewer and makes them desperate for more. Plus, each episode only costs a couple of bucks. As long as the acting and story are good, fans of novels and TV shows will be just like you. They won't be able to resist buying the 6th episode, then the 7th, then the 8th, until they're all caught up. Oh, I see. That makes sense, director, Lindsay said, her eyes lighting up with understanding. I'll get in touch with TikTok tonight and have them start running the first 5 episodes to build some traffic. Good. Get to it. And don't forget to promote on my author account, Leo added. The fans there have already paid to read the story. They're the real whales who are willing to spend money. Right, I will. I'll get to work then. Lindsay cast a subtle glance at the chair next to Leo, where Eleanor was sound asleep, before quietly tiptoeing out of the office. After she left, Leo turned to look at the sleeping Eleanor. He had to admit, when she wasn't talking, she was stunningly beautiful. Even her sleeping face was a pleasure to look at. The weather was cold, so she was wearing a black fleece-lined coat over a white blouse and blue jeans. Her head was burrowed into the coat's collar. Leo gently pulled the fabric back, revealing her exquisite face. He reached out and shook her awake, without a hint of gentleness. Wake up, Your Highness. Time to take you home. Eleanor's eyes fluttered open. She yawned, looking at him sleepily. Are you done with work? Yeah, all done, Leo said absently, tidying up his desk. Is it really fun to hang around here with me, every day? You might as well sleep at home. You just end up sleeping here anyway. Leo had been swamped lately, practically living at the studio. He had barely had time to talk to any of his girlfriends, let alone drive to Waterfront Park to pick up Eleanor. Her bodyguard had been dropping her off every day. A lazy, satisfied smile appeared on Eleanor's cool face. I sleep better when I'm near you. I can't sleep at home. Leo looked at the heiress. Her deep-seated dependency was written all over her face. Thinking of all the help she had given him, he said, There's not much to do around here. Come on, I'll take you to that night market we went to before. Let you stretch your legs. He squeezed her slender arm and shook his head in disapproval. All you do is sleep or, your body is probably paying the price. Okay, Eleanor agreed without hesitation, her bright eyes filled with anticipation. She quickly started helping him clear the desk. Once everything was packed up, Leo said goodbye to the remaining crew members and drove Eleanor to the food truck pod. After wandering through the night market, it was already past 9. They walked side by side down the windswept street back to the underground parking garage. Are you cold? Leo instinctively tugged her collar closed. Want my jacket? You can bring it back tomorrow. Eleanor looked up at him, stunned for a moment. Then she asked bluntly, Leo, are you hitting on me? Leo was intrigued. Oh, so you know what that means? Where'd you learn that? Eleanor thought for a moment. From a beauty vlogger. She said if a guy doesn't do things like this for you, it means he doesn't love you. You should watch less of that garbage. It's useless, Leo scoffed, getting into the driver's seat and buckling up. Those people start out teaching girls how to do makeup, and now they're teaching them how to exploit men. Watching their videos will mess with your head. Okay, I will, Eleanor agreed, then pressed on. So, were you hitting on me just now? No, it was just a friendly gesture. Don't overthink it, Leo replied coolly, pulling out his phone to set up the navigation. Seeing his dismissive attitude, Eleanor stared at him for a moment, then said seriously, If you admit it, I'll let you touch my leg. Okay, babe, I'm hitting on you. Babe, these jeans are really good quality. They're so warm. Come a little closer. Yeah, just like that. Leo, my 24th birthday is coming up, Eleanor said, slowly pulling her pant leg back down over her snow-white skin. I want you to come to my house and celebrate with me. Leo didn't answer right away. When's your birthday? January 17th. Next Sunday, she said, her expression full of hope. You'll come, right? 1. Sunday's no good. You know my situation. I have to spend time with my other girlfriends. 2. Sure. What do you want for your birthday? I'll need to get it ahead of time. 3. Of course. And after your party, get all that stuff you bought ready. I'll give you a private celebration later that night. Sunday? No can do, Leo said, rejecting her before even looking at the system's options. You know my situation. I have other girls I need to be with. I see. Eleanor replied tonelessly. She turned to look out the window at the dark night, her beautiful profile turning ice cold, just as it had been the day they first met. Hey, I'll do my best, all right. Leo's heart softened. He reached out and patted her shoulder, giving her an answer that left him an out. If I have free time that day, I'll make sure to spend it with you. How about that? Eleanor turned back, her eyes fixed on him. She took his hand and, without warning, pressed it against her chest. This is your reward. Thank you, boss, Leo said, his heart skipping a beat as he felt the softness against his palm. He reluctantly pulled his hand back and subconsciously rubbed his own knee. So, what do you want for a birthday present? Let me stop you right there. I'm not for sale. Then I don't know, Eleanor said after a pause, a small smile playing on her lips. But I'll like whatever you get me. We'll see then. Around 10 o'clock, Leo returned to his long-neglected apartment at the Evergreen Terrace. As soon as he walked in, he got a text from Lindsay. The first 5 episodes of the series were live, and the ad campaign had started. He immediately opened TikTok and searched for his production's official account. Sure enough, there were 5 20-minute-long videos. He had paid TikTok $75,000 for a month-long ad campaign to promote the series, targeting 100,000 users a day. The high price was because he had opted for precision targeting. His ads would only be shown to users who liked reading web novels or watching series adapted from them. "I hope this pays off," Leo prayed silently. He copied the link to his series and posted it on his social media profile. Offline Mode, the hit progression fantasy novel, now a blockbuster series. An epic is here. Click the link below to watch for free on TikTok. Leo didn't have many friends who were into web novels. His goal wasn't to generate traffic from his personal profile. He was mainly sending a message to his girlfriends and family that he was working hard to make money. Once the series took off and his income soared, his extravagant spending wouldn't raise so many questions. Of course, the more important reason was to prove to his girlfriends that he really had been busy lately, dispelling any doubts they might have. After a shower, he checked his phone. His post already had over 30 likes and a dozen comments. The first like was from, of all people, his sister Riley. Bloodsucker #1 liked your post and commented, "Go get him, old man." The second like was from Eleanor with no comment. Then came Isabel, Chloe, Lily, his parents, his buddies, and a few other unrecognized contacts. PSU Elf Princess, incoming video call. Heiress Investor, just found a really good video. Want me to send it to you? Landlady Sis, are you done with work yet? Where are you coming over for dinner? Maddie says she misses you. Neighbor Dummy, you can do it, Leo. Thumbs up. To avoid suspicion, Leo had changed the contact names for Lily, Isabel, and Eleanor. The new, less intimate names wouldn't arouse suspicion from the girls themselves, and if another girlfriend saw them, he had a plausible explanation. Isabel was young and beautiful, so what was wrong with calling her Landlady Sis? Eleanor had helped him so much, even getting Arthur Shaw to introduce him to Derek Flynn, so calling her Heiress Investor made perfect sense, right? And his neighbor Lily really was a sweet dummy, so the down-to-earth nickname fit. "Hey, Chloe, still up this late?" Leo answered the video call, simultaneously juggling texts with Isabel, Lily, and Eleanor. The life of a player was just this simple, unadorned, and fulfilling. The next morning, Leo was woken up by his phone ringing. He groggily picked it up. "Yeah, who is it?" "Director." It was Lindsay, so excited she was tripping over her words. "I have good news and even better news. Which do you want to hear first?" "Let's go with the good news," Leo said with a calm smile. He didn't even need to guess. His series viewership numbers were in, and they were obviously good. "Wait, what did you say?" 50 million. Leo shot up in bed. 50 million views in one night? How was that possible? He knew his series was good, but no matter how good it was, there was no way it could get such insane numbers overnight. "Director, I sent the even better news to you on your phone. You'll understand when you see it," Lindsay said, her voice giddy with excitement. Leo quickly opened his messages. Lindsay had sent him screenshots of the series' back-end analytics and the ad buy investment amount. 500,000. Leo was stunned by the total investment amount. He had only put in $75,000. How had it become $550,000? Even the most die-hard fans of his novel wouldn't have spent that much to promote his show. At first, he thought it might have been Eleanor or Isabel. They were the only people he knew who could drop that kind of cash. But strangely, after investing $500,000 to promote the series, the account that made the purchase was immediately deleted. He knew their personalities. Neither of them would do something so generous and then disappear without a trace. Holy hell, Leo breathed. Who the hell was that? Who cares? As long as it's not a minor who's going to ask for a refund, Leo said, overjoyed by the windfall. He opened the comment section on his official account. "I have simple tastes, and I love this. This adaptation is awesome. The plot and acting are great. Damn it. Why is there no next episode? Where's episode 6? Release it already. I'll pay for it. El Mayo, when the main actress fell her assets bounced. The director even gave a close-up. I have to watch this now. Holy shit. I just realized this is that super popular progression fantasy I've been reading. They made it into a series. Like, this plot is actually so good. Link to the original novel, please. The lead is Tanya Young, right? I'm a huge fan of her. Work. Begging for episode 6. The 5 videos only had tens of thousands of likes, but the comments numbered in the tens of thousands. It was promotional content, so it was normal for viewers not to like the videos. They were there for the content itself. The staggering 50 million plus views and the fact that all 5 videos had a completion rate of 90% told a real story. That kind of number was terrifying on a fast-paced platform like TikTok. It meant that almost every user who saw the ad had watched the full 20-minute episodes from beginning to end. Just then, a message from Lindsay came through. Lindsay Carter. Director, My suggestion is to capitalize on the high traffic and release the 6th episode immediately to retain these viewers. Offline mode, no. Release all the finished episodes. Don't hold a single one back. Lindsay Carter, why? If we release everything, won't we burn through all the novelty? We still have a lot more to film. Offline mode, you don't get it, Lindsay. Even if these episodes are high quality and the viewers love them, if we don't have subsequent content and we just string them along, releasing one episode every few days, they won't stand for it. The novelty will wear off, and if they can't find the next episode, they'll forget our show ever existed. Offline mode. The short-form video market is like a brothel full of beautiful women. The viewers are the clients. With a new girl, even if we're the most beautiful one there, the brothel is full of other girls. If we just keep teasing the clients and never show them the real goods, they'll just move on to someone else. They won't wait around for us. Lindsay Carter. Director, your analogies are certainly down to earth. Sweating emoji. Offline mode. All right, get to it. And make sure your team has the payment channels set up properly. I want to see the profits tonight. Smug emoji. Lindsay Carter. Ok. Today's scenes were mostly transitional, so Leo decided not to go to the set, letting his assistant director take charge. After hanging up, he flopped back onto the bed, planning to get a little more sleep. He had been running on fumes lately, working all day and then juggling conversations with his girlfriends all night. His enhanced physique felt fine. He didn't feel the slightest bit tired, but his subconscious was telling him he still needed rest. The moment his head hit the pillow, he was out. He didn't wake up until after 6 in the evening. Feeling refreshed, he got up, brushed his teeth, grabbed his phone and keys, and decided to head to his parents' place to mooch a meal and give them a Mercedes. He drove the Benz to his parents' apartment complex. Their old VW wasn't in its usual spot, so he parked the Mercedes there. He let himself in. Riley was already home, lounging on the sofa, lazily scrolling through TikTok, her bare feet dangling over the armrest. Bro, Riley had assumed it was her parents coming home from work. When she saw it was Leo, a happy smile involuntarily spread across her face. Then she remembered he had bailed on pretending to be her boyfriend, and the smile vanished as quickly as it had appeared, replaced by a sullen, disdainful look. Even her form of address changed. Old man, back to leech another free meal. Leo was used to Riley's bratty attitude. He ignored her and bent down to change his shoes. Where's your sister? Riley, who had been walking over with a cheerful look on her face, eager to see her long-absent brother, froze. Her expression fell. Old man, she demanded, her voice full of hurt and anger. Do you only have one sister named Sophie? Can you stop being so jealous all the time? Leo scoffed. As he walked past her, he provocatively pinched her smooth cheek, earning him a flurry of angry punches from the fuming girl. He wandered around the apartment, his stomach rumbling, and headed to the kitchen to forage. Riley trailed him like a shadow, leaning against the kitchen doorway, a faint smile playing on her lips as she watched him rummage through the fridge. Why is there nothing in here? Leo said, closing the refrigerator door. You guys have decent jobs. You'd think there'd be some food in the house. And Mom told me to go buy groceries tonight. I was just about to leave, Riley said, twirling a strand of hair around her finger, her voice lacking conviction. You drove, right? We can go together. Let's go, Leo agreed. It was still early, and he could grab a snack while they were out. Okay, wait for me. I'll go change, Riley said, a joyful smile breaking across her face as she scampered back to her room. Let's go. Riley emerged from her room, having changed, and made a point of spinning in front of Leo on the sofa. Whoa, old man, do I look good? Leo glanced up, and his brow furrowed immediately. Riley was wearing a warm, gray fleece-lined jacket over a pure white blouse with a black bow at the collar. Below, she had on a gray and black pleated skirt that cinched at her waist, putting her long, pale, and evenly toned legs on full display. They seemed to shimmer under the light. What the hell are you wearing? Go change, Leo said, his frown deepening with distaste. It's freezing outside. People are going to think you're insane, going out with bare legs. If it had been any other girl, Leo would have been enjoying the view, maybe even wishing she was wearing less. But this was his sister living under his roof. There was no way he was letting her go out like that. They're not bare, Riley insisted, tugging at the material on her legs to prove her point. They're fleece-lined leggings. They're warm. All the girls wear them this season. I don't care if they're miracle leggings. I don't care about other girls. You're my sister, and I'm not letting you go out dressed like that, Leo retorted mercilessly. Go put on something normal and warm, or I'm not going. Oomph. Riley stomped her foot, fuming. She reluctantly returned to her bedroom and changed into a thick, long, down-filled parka that completely covered the long legs she was so proud of. She walked back out, her face a mask of frustration. That's more like it, Leo said, nodding in satisfaction. Then he added with a teasing smile, what's going on with your hair? Looks like a dog chewed on it. Riley touched her hair. Sure enough, strands were flying everywhere, probably from the static electricity generated when she pulled on the parka. She went back to her room, grabbed a comb, and resentfully handed it to Leo on the sofa. You do it. It's hard to manage with this giant coat on. I swear, you're impossible. Fine, come here. Leo sighed wearily, taking the cartoon-themed comb and setting his phone aside. Riley quickly brought over a small stool and sat down with her back to him, her slender, pliant back perfectly straight. As Leo combed through her messy hair, he chuckled. Aren't you embarrassed, Riley? You're a grown woman, still having your big brother comb your hair. If your classmates found out, they'd laugh you out of town. I like it. What business is it of theirs? Riley huffed, completely unconcerned. Leo couldn't see her face, but her defiant tone told him she was in a good mood now. Man, if only you were half as obedient as Sophie, Leo said, shaking his head with a wry smile. Forget mom and dad. Even I'm worried about you. With a temper like yours, how are you ever going to find a boyfriend? At that, Riley suddenly spun on the stool, shifting to the edge of the sofa between Leo's legs and letting her whole body fall heavily back into his arms. The sudden weight of her small frame caught Leo off guard. What are you doing? I'm not done combing. Leo, Riley murmured into his chest, her voice laced with a feeling like she was about to cry, in plaintive tone. Am I really your sister? What kind of stupid question is that? Leo asked with a laugh. Or was I the one mom and dad found in a ditch somewhere? Then why are you always picking on me? Every time I do something and hope for a little praise, you just brush it off, Riley complained, her voice thick with grievance. But whatever Sophie does, you and mom and dad are always praising her. Just because her grades are a little better. It makes me feel like an outsider. Her heartfelt, raw complaint left Leo at a loss. It was the first time she'd ever spoken so openly. He knew it was a common dynamic. In many American families, performance, especially academic performance, spoke volumes. Sophie got good grades, had a sweet way of talking, and had been a polite, well-behaved girl her whole life. She'd practically grown up on a diet of praise. Riley's academic record was a disaster, and she'd been a mischievous troublemaker since she was little. It was impossible to say their parents didn't have a favorite, that their love and attention were perfectly balanced. Leo had grown up in the middle of it, hearing the same refrains from his parents over and over. Riley, can't you be more like your sister? If only you were half as smart as she is. That constant background noise had conditioned him. He had accepted and normalized his parents' approach, and as he got older, he naturally favored Sophie a little more. I'm sorry. You're right, that was my fault. I shouldn't take sides between you two, Leo said sincerely. He brought his legs together, so her small bottom was resting on his thighs, and he instinctively wrapped an arm around her slim waist, leaning over to see her upset face. From now on, I promise I won't be biased. I'll treat you both exactly the same, okay? Feeling his hand on her waist, Riley fidgeted with her fingers, a little flustered. I'm not saying you have to do anything drastic. I just want you and mom and dad to be fair to me. I'm part of this family too. Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. Leo nodded earnestly. I promise. I'll pay more attention to you from now on. I'll make up for it. That's more like it, Riley said. The pout on her face instantly dissolved, replaced by a radiant, overjoyed smile. A second later, she became aware that she was sitting on Leo's lap, his arms still around her waist. A blush crept on her cheeks. Leo, maybe this isn't a good look. Sorry, force of habit. I have a lot of girls, Leo said, withdrawing his hand without a second thought. It was the honest truth. If any other girl were sitting on his lap, his hands would be doing a lot more than just holding her waist. Oh, a lot of girls. Riley narrowed her eyes, a sly smile playing on her lips. Besides that Chloe Miller, who else have you been hugging, big brother? Too many to count, Leo said, knowing she was just trying to get a rise out of him. He leaned into it, boasting, a new one every day. I never repeat. Keep dreaming. You land one campus beauty and you think you're God's gift, Riley said with a dismissive scoff. Just be careful. When you two break up, you'll be back to hiding in your room, posting on social media about how you'll never trust a woman again. Get off, get off. Your hair is done, Leo said, showing no hint of gentle sentiment. He pushed Riley away and handed her the comb. Let's get your shoes on and go. I've been starving all day. Leo headed for the door, first to call the elevator. Riley locked the apartment door and came running. Then, with a little hi-ya, she jumped on his back, wrapping her arms affectionately around his neck. The easy intimacy was just like when they were kids, Hey, you're heavy. Stop messing around, Leo grumbled, but his hands moved to support Riley's legs, piggybacking her toward the elevator. Riley protested. I am not heavy. I'm only 95 pounds. Sophie is 102. Then I'll treat you to a nice meal in a few days. Get your weight up past hers. Okay. There's a new Italian place that opened up behind my school. Can you take me sometime? Sure. Wait a minute. What's up with you, Riley? Leo asked, turning his head. You're getting pretty comfortable calling me Leo. What happened to old man? Riley avoided his gaze, burying her face in the thick fabric of his jacket. I'm in a good mood today, she mumbled haughtily. So I'll grant you a few Leos. I think I prefer old man. It's cozier. Nah, I'm not doing it. When the siblings returned with groceries, their parents had just gotten home from work. Sophie was also back from her tutoring session, sitting on the sofa with headphones on, deep in concentration as she practiced her English listening exercises. Why is everyone so quiet? Leo asked after changing his shoes. He noticed his parents standing in the living room, staring at him without a word. They looked troubled, and the atmosphere was strangely silent. It's good you're back, his father, David, forced a strained smile. He walked over, took the bags of groceries from Leo's hands, gave him a deep, meaningful look, and then turned and disappeared into the kitchen. Mom, I'm home. Leo tilted his head, looking at the silent Sharon. Nothing to say? It's been months. It's your living, breathing son. What, you want me to bow? Sharon scoffed, then gave her tall son a loving pat on the arm. Now, that's the right reaction. Just as Leo was grinning at her, she quickly averted her eyes and turned to help in the kitchen. Something's not right, Leo muttered. In the past, he would have missed these subtle shifts in expression. But after the system's baptism, his ability to read people was razor sharp. He could feel that his parents were hiding something from him. You feel it too? Mom and Dad have been so worried lately, Riley whispered beside him. Especially Mom. She's always in her bedroom by herself, looking through old photo albums and sighing. She comes out with her eyes all red. Leo sucked in a sharp breath. Don't tell me Dad's having an affair. Have they been acting weird? I think it's very possible. Dad's been on the phone with someone a lot lately, Riley whispered back seriously. Now, whenever his phone rings, he goes into the bedroom to answer it, and Mom follows him. They tell us not to come near. Damn, it's not really an affair, is it? Leo muttered, a chill running down his spine. Was this some kind of karmic punishment for his own player lifestyle? His parents, getting into affairs at their age? But in his memory, David Shepard was a devoted family man. It just didn't seem like him. An idea struck him. He activated his God's eye ability and scanned his parents' detailed profiles. To his relief, their marital status showed no abnormalities. There were no flags for infidelity. The old man isn't cheating, so it must be something else. Leo breathed relieved. If they weren't planning on divorcing, then something else was weighing on them. In a family of 5, any number of complicated issues could arise. Life was never smooth sailing. His parents both had stable jobs, and the family wasn't short on money. If it was a money problem, Sharon would have been the first to ask him for help. Since it wasn't about money, and they weren't willing to talk, there was nothing Leo could do but let them work it out themselves. Hey Leo, when did you get back? Sophie exclaimed, taking off her headphones and beaming as she saw him bringing a dish to the table. If you were any more focused, you'd have achieved digital enlightenment and ascended to the English-speaking heavens, Leo teased, then added warmly, go wash your hands. It's time to eat. Okay. The table was set, and the 5 of them sat down. Unlike their usual lively, boisterous meals, tonight's dinner was strangely quiet, punctuated only by occasional, fragmented bits of small talk. Sharon, usually a chatterbox who doted on her 3 children, ate with a heavy heart, her complicated gaze frequently drifting over to the 3 siblings. After dinner, the 3 of them sat on the sofa, laughing and chatting. Their father, David, sat nearby, quietly watching them, a faint, gratified smile on his slightly weathered face. There seemed to be an almost imperceptible glint of tears in the corners of his eyes. Sharon brought out a bowl of strawberries and set it in front of them, then patted an emotional David on the arm, giving him a meaningful look. Mom, Dad just bought a new car. You two should take this one. Leo put his Mercedes keys on the coffee table. Also, he added with a reassuring smile, I'm not home much, so I don't know everything that's going on. But whatever it is, don't keep it bottled up. I've met a lot of people through filming. They have connections here and could probably help. Silly boy, what could possibly be wrong with us? This is a civilized society. It's not the Wild West, David said, taking Sharon's hand with a gratified smile. Your mother and I still have savings. We don't need your money right now. I know you're making good money lately, but don't get carried away. It's easy to spend. Exactly. How long have you had this car? And you're already getting a new one. Sharon forced a smile, reverting to her usual nagging persona. Don't be so frivolous with your money. When you marry that nice Chloe girl, you'll have plenty of expenses. Hey, I'm earning it, and I don't have that many things I need to buy, Leo said proudly. Anyway, if you ever need money, just call me. And you too, he said to his sisters. If you want anything, just buy it. Yes, love you, bro. The two girls threw their arms around his shoulders in ecstatic delight. Their parents exchanged a look, their faces softening into proud smiles. Hey, Leo, Sophie began, looking up at him excitedly. How much money did you make from that short-form video series? I heard that stuff is super profitable. One director made millions in a month. TikTok is full of these novel-to-video adaptations now. Just as Leo was about to answer, his phone buzzed. It was a message from Lindsay Carter with today's series earnings. Well, about this much. Leo opened his official TikTok creator account, went to his earnings dashboard, and pulled up the total revenue for the day's episodes. Then he handed the phone to Sophie. Sophie took the phone, her cheerful expression instantly freezing. Her eyes went wide and unfocused. What is it? What's wrong? How much is it? Riley, ever the curious one, leaned over to look. Her jaw dropped. She looked up at her parents in disbelief, her lips trembling, unable to form a word. What's all the drama? How much could it be? Sharon tooted at her daughters, snatching the phone from them. David shifted in his seat, his eyes crinkling as he squinted at the screen. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, million, 10 million. The next second, both parents snapped their heads up in perfect unison, staring, dumbfounded, at a smiling Leo. $17 million? Is this real? Sharon shrieked in shock. She quickly lowered her head again, squinting and carefully recounting the zeros several times before she could believe she hadn't made a mistake. Wait, this. Sharon clutched the cool phone, her voice a stunned whisper as she stared at the string of numbers on the back end. Does this thing really make that much money? 17 million in a month. Mom, it's not from a month. Riley corrected her, her voice an excited shriek. That's what he made in one day. What? One day? Sharon flinched, nearly dropping the phone. Riley rushed over and pointed at two words on the screen. See? It's written right here. Today's earnings. Sharon's hand trembled as she held the phone, patiently reading every single word on the dashboard. Ingenuity Media Product. 7 profound continents plus 30 episodes equals $24. 00 purchases. 113. 501 today's product comments. 6. 52 in 2 days earnings. $17. 0. 25. 1. 50 product rating. 8. 9 out of 10. The staggering data, written there in black and white, was mind-boggling. Her and David's salaries combined were a little over $400,000 a year. Leo had made over $17 million in a single day, almost 40 times their annual income. At that rate, he could make over $500 million a month. Sharon knew this was the age of the internet. She often scrolled past videos and articles about young people striking it rich online. But for something so fantastical to happen to her own family, to her own son, it was hard to process. The astronomical figure was simply too much to digest. If it had been tens, or even a few 100,000, she could have accepted it. Wait, you make that much from filming this? Even a normally stoic David was looking at Leo with utter astonishment. You're not filming anything. Illegal, are you? If it were illegal, the platform would have banned me already. They never would have approved it, Leo said. He took back his phone, sent a quick reply to Lindsay Carter, and then had a sudden thought. Oh, right. It wasn't supposed to be this much. Someone invested over $5 million to run ads for my series, which drove a ton of traffic. $5 million. Who was it? Riley asked, shocked. Was it your campus beauty girlfriend? Her family isn't that rich, Leo said, shaking his head. I don't know. It was weird. The person dropped $5 million on ads for me, then deleted their account and disappeared. I didn't even get a chance to thank them. Hearing this, his parents exchanged a stunned, wide-eyed glance. Was this person's last name Collins? David asked tentatively, his expression dead serious. Sharon watched Leo nervously from the side. Dad, I just told you they deleted their account. How would I know their name? Besides, who uses their real name as a TikTok handle? Leo explained, then paused, feeling something was off. Wait, why are you asking that? Do you know some big shot with the last name Collins? Did they invest for me? Just a random question, David said with a weak laugh, quickly changing the subject. With your book doing so well, it was probably one of your fans. Leo nodded. Yeah, that's what I figured. Leo, does this mean that after this month, you'll be a multimillionaire? Sophie's breathing grew ragged. This kind of overnight success was something she'd only ever seen in Orphan Finds Long-Lost Billionaire Father news stories. Whenever she couldn't afford a new dress, she used to complain, wondering when her parents would finally confess that they were secretly billionaires and their modest life had just been a test for her. She had never dreamed that such a wild, fantastical thing would actually happen in her life, and to her own beloved brother. "I guess so," Leo said, remaining calm. With the system's help, if he couldn't even make this much, he might as well just unbind it. "Leo, my dearest brother, I know you've always doted on me the most," Sophie cooed, clinging to his arm. "There's so many things I want to buy lately. Could you please grant your little sister these tiny wishes?" "Me too, Leo." Riley latched on his other arm, not asking for anything specific, but clearly just enjoying the chance to be affectionate. "Buy it. Buy it all. What did you expect with a great brother like me?" Leo waved his hand magnanimously. "But this offer is only good for tonight. When I wake up tomorrow, I won't remember a thing." The sisters cheered and immediately pulled out their phones, launching into a frantic shopping spree. David patted Sharon's arm, clearly wanting to talk. "Let them have their fun. Let's go do the dishes." Sharon got up to follow David to the kitchen, but not before reminding Leo, "Don't you spoil them too much." Inside the kitchen, Sharon scrubbed the dishes forcefully. "So, what do you think, Dave?" "Doing this? He must be trying to get Leo back," she said, her voice filled with resentment. "We raised him all these years, and now he thinks he can just take him back? I won't allow it. Dropping $5 million just like that. He really is loaded," Sharon muttered angrily. "I wonder who gave him his startup money back in the day. Now that he's made it big, he's forgotten where he came from." "Keep your voice down," David hissed, glancing toward the living room. He sighed helplessly. "For now, let's just take it one step at a time. We need to find a chance to tell Leo the truth first. See if he wants to stay with us or start a new life over there." Short-form series goes viral. Famous author's adaptation yields over $30 million in a single day. Shocker. 7 Profound Continents author series expected to gross over $500 million per month. The real internet gold rush. Short-form video is the future of fiction. 7 Profound Continents author's monthly income revealed. Blockbuster fantasy novel, 7 Profound Continents garners over 200 million views. Click the link below to watch the live-action adaptation starring popular streamer Tanya Young. In the following days, the earnings from Leo's series were calculated and spread by numerous industry professionals based on its virality and view counts. On TikTok and in web fiction forums, nearly every creator and fan was talking about the show's insane profits, flawless quality, and the cast's superb acting. Without a doubt, Leo's fantasy adaptation had become a massive hit, both for its staggering daily revenue and its trending status with over 200 million views. With things blowing up, Leo started spending less time on set. He had never intended to be the public face of the operation anyway. His life's goal was to make money quietly behind the scenes and live a carefree life with his girlfriends. So, he hired Derek Flynn, who had just wrapped up a new project, to assist his assistant director in filming the remaining episodes. The show was a huge success, and the actors had all gained a degree of fame, their value increasing significantly. They wouldn't dare slack off now. Other production crews were clamoring to hire them. Talented, affordable actors who offered far more value than the typical non-union extras. Tanya Young, the female lead, had particularly blossomed. Her stellar acting, which Leo had practically berated out of her, combined with a figure that commanded attention with every step, made her shine in the fantasy series. Since the show aired, Tanya, who originally had a modest 100,000 followers, had seen her fanbase explode to over 1 million loyal fans. Now, a rising star, she could rake in tens of thousands of dollars just by doing a live stream battle with another streamer and showing off her skills for a few top donors. She was already planning to terminate her contract with her original agency and jump ship to Leo's production team to focus on short-form video adaptations. No one else dared to slack off at such a critical juncture. Being kicked off the set by Leo now would be career suicide. On Friday evening, Leo was driving to his father-in-law Don Miller's house when he took a call from Tanya Young. "Hey, Director Shepard, where are you up to?" "Driving." "What's up?" Leo said, one hand on the wheel, playfully teasing her. "Shouldn't you be filming instead of calling me?" "I miss you," Tanya's cloyingly sweet voice purred through the phone. "Director, aren't you coming to the set today?" "Got something on today. I'll be there tomorrow. You just listen to Director Flynn and don't cause any trouble for me." The old Leo would have been instantly aroused by that voice. But the current Leo was a seasoned veteran, no longer the socially awkward introvert he once was. He was immune to this kind of woman. More importantly, He'd used God's eye on Tanya and knew she had an experience count of over 500. While she was clean, she was a bona fide veteran of 100 battles. Leo had no interest in developing anything serious with a woman like that, though a little flirty banter over the phone was fine. For now, Tanya's popularity was an asset, so he needed to string her along. Once she was signed to his media company, he could use her talents in the next project to pry open the wallets of more hot-blooded young men. But I only want to listen to your arrangements, Tanya practically purred, making her intentions clear. One word from Leo, and he could be playing a very adult game with this popular streamer with 1 million followers. Unfortunately, Leo wasn't interested in another man's sloppy seconds. His landlady, of course, was the exception. Leo pursed his lips and decisively shut her down. Gotta go, another call is coming in. But, guess it's true what they say, money makes the world go round, Leo sighed, deleting the call from his history. A few minutes later, he turned into the waterfront spire, parked his BMW in his girlfriend's family's designated spot, and headed for the elevator with bags of gifts in his hands. Arriving at the apartment door, which was decorated with Pikachu stickers, Leo shifted the gifts to one hand and rang the doorbell with his free one. That must be Leo. Even from outside, Leo could hear Don Miller's cheerful voice and his approaching footsteps. The door clicked open. Hey, Leo. Long time no see. Sure enough, it was the tall, beaming Don Miller. Behind him stood Carla and Chloe, both smiling happily. Leo, my boy, you're blowing up online, Don said, clapping him on the shoulder. Good grief. Every other video is you. Every other video is you. I can't even find a decent audiobook to listen to anymore. Other than his other girlfriends, Leo had few secrets from Chloe. He told her all about his series profits and his future plans. Chloe, in turn, had proudly and boastfully told her parents about Leo's recent success. With their golden goose of a future son-in-law coming for dinner tonight, the Millers had taken the afternoon off to prepare a feast. Oh, so you'd rather listen to other novels than support the series I'm making? Leo joked, handing the gifts over as he calmly changed his shoes, as comfortable as if it were his own home. No way, Don said, taking the gifts and passing them to Chloe without a second glance. I've listened to your book from start to finish several times. Of course I watched your series. Oh, don't get him started, Leo, Carla said, stepping forward with a smile. Your uncle watches that series every night. He's practically memorized the dialogue. Hey, Leo the loser? Where's my present? Is it just for my parents? Chloe asked, rummaging through the bags and playfully repeating a line Leo had used on her when she visited his family. Just like her own mother, Carla gave her mischievous daughter a light swat on the behind, making everyone laugh. Now, so Leo, tell me, are there any changes to the upcoming plot? The lead actress is still that Tanya Young, right? Wow, that woman's figure. Ahem, her acting is top-notch. Just as Chloe was about to get cozy with Leo, Don threw an arm around his neck and started grilling him about the story, steering him toward the dining table. The two of them looked less like a future son-in-law and father-in-law and more like a couple of old buddies. Carla Miller, can you please get your husband under control? Chloe pouted. He's brazenly trying to steal my man. Don't be ridiculous. Carla chuckled. Silly girl, go wash your hands and get ready for dinner. Chloe stuck her tongue out at her mother's back, then watched the two men chattering away in the living room with a look of pure contentment. One was her loving father. The other was the successful, handsome man she adored. The scene filled Chloe with a warmth that spread deep into her bones. This is so nice, she thought. I hope it can stay like this forever. Ding. Chloe Miller's affinity for the host has increased by 5 points. Current affinity, 70. Please continue your efforts. Night fell. Leo had drunk quite a bit with Don and couldn't drive home. Despite Carla's repeated protests, he ended up staying the night at Chloe's again. Unlike the messy room and thin blanket from his last visit, the guest room was clearly well prepared this time. The comforter was a warm, down-filled one, and the mattress was a luxurious Simmons, both brand new and still feeling smooth to the touch. It made sense. With such a successful Golden Goose boyfriend whom their daughter adored, what parents wouldn't treat him well? In the pitch-black room, Leo's face was illuminated by the glow of his phone as he tapped out words. He planned to finish writing the fantasy novel this week. Once the short-form series was completely wrapped up, he could finally sit down and map out his business strategy. Leo the loser. The door creaked open, and Chloe, wearing fluffy cartoon pajamas, tiptoed to his bedside like a stealthy T-Rex. What are you doing here? Leo asked, pleasantly surprised as he turned off his phone screen. Should be quiet. My mom's still awake, Chloe whispered conspiratorially. She closed the door, locked it, and then slipped off her fluffy slippers. Her cool, Pale feet patted across the floor as she gleefully slid into bed with him, her hands finding their way to his warm, firm stomach. Hee, you're so warm, like a personal heater, she murmured, snuggling against him. Leo cupped her pert backside, a hopeful grin on his face. It gets even warmer if you go a little lower. I've got a hot water bottle down there, too. You're so dirty, Chloe giggled, swatting his stomach playfully as she burrowed deeper into his embrace. They had done practically everything, and Chloe had long since lost the shy bashfulness she'd had when they first met. When her boyfriend made crude jokes like this, her natural feminine modesty made her feel a mix of curiosity and embarrassment. But mostly it was just a heart-pounding thrill. Go on, baby, feel it, Leo urged. No way, Chloe pouted, looking at him with a mock-disgusted expression that was unbelievably cute. Of course, this wasn't a genuine rejection. Chloe, like Lily, had a certain passive trait, or rather, it was a common trait in most women. When the emotional connection was there and a boyfriend suggested something a little out there, their modesty and unique brand of willfulness would make them put on a show of refusal. It was mainly because they genuinely didn't know what to do, or maybe they'd seen it in movies, but had zero practical experience. In these situations, if the boyfriend was just a little more shameless and took the lead, guiding them through the unknown, they would usually blossom, half reluctantly, half willingly, and become just as bold as him. Considering his mother-in-law was still awake next door and his drunk father-in-law was snoring loudly, Leo decided not to push his luck in the elf princess's home. He didn't press her soft hand to continue its journey into the abyss. You're so bad, Leo, Chloe grumbled, draped over him. I don't know what I ever saw in you. Can't help it. The charm is just there. Leo shrugged shamelessly. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come back to get my number, right? He could still vividly remember Chloe returning with a box of candied nuts under the brilliant sunset, her shy expression as she asked for his contact info. He figured that even when he was old, that unforgettable, youthful image would forever be etched in his mind. Don't get the wrong idea. I was just sick of the food in the school cafeteria, the prideful Chloe said, refusing to admit she'd made the first move. You told me you knew the area, and I was just tired of eating the same old thing. Don't forget, loser, you were the one who chased me, Chloe added, tapping his nose while her feet playfully brushed against his under the covers. Remember when we first connected? You were the one texting me every day. You even tricked me into going out for duck, and that place wasn't even good. What are you talking about? I thought it was delicious, and I remember you ate a lot. It was not good. The sauce was too heavy. I'm from Florida. I'm not used to that. Oh, so could I interpret that as you didn't like it, but you cared about my feelings, so you pretended to enjoy it? Ugh, shut up. And that cathedral point you took me to? It was so boring. Just cold and dark. Ha ha ha, really? Is that what you were actually thinking? And so they continued their aimless chat, reminiscing about when they first met, their dates, and their first time in a hotel. They talked about whatever came to mind, with no scripts or tactics, just an open-hearted, slightly awkward conversation. The topics were mundane, but they were both completely absorbed. These were their shared, sweet memories. Chloe thought that after they were married, they could talk about these things for years and years. Even now that Leo was making so much money, Chloe hadn't changed her attitude or the way she talked to him. She was still the same proud, willful elf princess. As they talked, the mood began to shift. The air outside the blankets was frigid, but inside, it was growing increasingly intimate. Leo occasionally nibbled on the elf princess's lips, his hands beginning to wander. Leo, we can't, Chloe murmured, half-heartedly trying to stop his mischievous hands. Her voice was a mix of frustration and haze. This headboard creaks. My mom will hear. We could drive to a hotel, Leo suggested. It's Saturday tomorrow. You don't have anything to do. No, it's too cold outside. I don't want to get changed, Chloe said, shaking her head. She shivered and burrowed deeper into his embrace. Stop thinking about that stuff all the time. Young people need self-control. It's late. Let's just go to sleep. Be my good little personal heater. Then, let me. Leo gently lifted Chloe off him and, without another word, ducked under the covers. Leo, you. Chloe's feet went rigid. One hand pressed down on his head while the other clamped over her own mouth, stifling any sound. You are the absolute worst. It was noon the next day before Chloe finally woke up, rubbing her drowsy head. Feeling the empty space beside her, she sleepily rolled over and mumbled, Leo, the loser. The door clicked open. Do you have any idea what time it is? Carla asked, looking at her half-asleep daughter with an amused smile. Leo left a long time ago. Get up and eat lunch. Huh, it's noon already. Chloe mumbled, sitting up on the edge of the bed and ruffling her messy hair, wrapped in a silly post-sleep haze. Her eyes fell on the small trash can by her bed. Inside were several crumpled tissues, her handiwork from the previous night. The memory of last night's novel experience sent a hot blush creeping up her neck. She quickly slipped on her fluffy slippers, her heart pounding as she fled the scene of the crime. "Are you going to see Leo today?" Carla asked, holding out a jacket Leo had forgotten that morning. "He left this. You can take it to him." "Nah, it's too cold," Chloe said, hugging the jacket. She glanced at the frosted window panes and shivered. "It's a hassle for him to drive over, too. I'll give it back to him another day." "Chloe, I remember you told me once that Leo lives alone, right?" Carla asked tentatively. "Yeah, why?" Chloe knew where Leo lived. She'd gotten his address when she bought him the necklace. But she had never actually gone to his apartment complex to see him. They always arranged to meet somewhere, or he would drive to her school or home to pick her up. "Well, how about I give you some money? You could move in with him. Or you two could find a bigger place to rent near the university," Carla said with a smile. "With your dad and me here all the time, it can be inconvenient for you too. It would be so awkward if we walked in on something." Carla continued, "You'll be marrying him after you graduate and get a stable job anyway. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. You could just come back and visit on holidays." As a woman who'd been through it all, Carla had no qualms about bringing up such topics. She saw it as a form of guidance. Like most mothers, she was having a serious, respectful conversation with her daughter about a rather delicate matter. Chloe instantly realized her mom must have heard something last night. Her face turned beet red. She fell silent for a moment, nervously fiddling with the jacket in her hands, and mumbled with her head down, I'll ask him." Of course, Chloe wanted to live with Leo. She had thought about it before. When she was bored, she would often imagine what it would be like. He would pick her up after class every day. If she got home first, she could cook him a nice dinner. On weekends, they could invite her best friend and roommates over to play cards, chat, and huddle together for a hot pot on a cold day. It sounded wonderful. Most importantly, when they were intimate, they wouldn't have to be so careful about their surroundings like last night. Besides, PSU wasn't far from either of their parents' homes, and with Leo's car, getting around was easy. The more she thought about it, the more she liked the idea of living with him. Clutching his jacket, Chloe eagerly returned to her room, pulled out her phone, and started furiously texting Leo. "Elf Princess, Leo the loser, should we, rent a place together near campus?" Blushing emoji. "Offline mode, sure. After the holidays, I'll go apartment hunting with you." "Elf Princess, can we get a 3-bedroom place?" "Offline mode, why? Are your parents moving in too?" "El Princess, no. I want Maya to be able to move in. You know her situation. She hates going home on weekends." "Please?" Pleading emoji. Worried Leo might not agree. Chloe quickly added another message. "Elf Princess, don't worry. Maya would only stay over sometimes. She knows her boundaries. She wouldn't get in the way of our private time." "Offline mode, I don't really care. A female best friend isn't a male best friend. The real question is, are you okay with it?" "Offline mode, your best friend is just as hot as you are. Aren't you afraid of letting the fox into the henhouse?" Smirking emoji. "Elf Princess, PFFT. I already told you, Maya's only into older guys. She's not interested in a slick-talking punk like you." Laughing emoji. Offline mode. "Oh really? You think your boyfriend is a slick talker now, do you?" Smiling face with horns. At first, Chloe didn't get why Leo was repeating the phrase. But then, connecting it to last night and the devil emoji, she blushed furiously and sent a series of hitting emojis. "Elf Princess, Leo, you are such a perv." Snipping scissors emoji. Offline mode. "Haha, just kidding. It's fine. Your friend seems to have a good head on her shoulders. I'm happy for her to stay over sometimes." Offline mode. "And once we're living together, we can be as intimate as we want whenever we want." Smiling face with horns. "Elf Princess, HMPH. Leo, you're so good with girls, I'm starting to doubt I was really your first." Angry emoji. Seeing this out-of-the-blue accusation, Leo rolled his eyes. Apparently, even campus beauties and radiant elf princesses could get jealous and ask the kinds of questions that men found childish and pointless. The worst part was, these questions were always razor-sharp and hit right at the heart of the matter. Was this the infamous female intuition he'd heard about? Just as he was composing a response, Chloe sent another message that left him completely floored. "Elf Princess, Leo, if you really try to go after Maya, what do you think your chances would be?" "What the hell?" Leo, who was at home writing, nearly jumped out of his chair. He suspected it might be Chloe's mom or dad texting him from her phone, trying to test his loyalty. Otherwise, why would his proud, willful elf princess ask such a depraved question? No matter how close she was with her best friend, they couldn't be close enough to share a boyfriend, right? As his mind raced, the system's options popped up. 1. Are you crazy? I already have you. Why would I go after her? Unless you're trying to keep it all in the family. 2. Whoa, who is this? Is this the real Chloe? Tell me, what did I do to you last night? 3. You're joking. But if you give me the green light, and I don't have her calling me daddy within a month, I'll take your last name. Back in middle school, Maya Pierce had once stepped in to chase off a bully who was bothering Chloe Miller. From that day on, their friendship had become bone deep. They shared everything. They had even made a pact that whoever had a child first, the other would be the godmother. They were truly sisters in everything but blood. What Chloe had meant by her text was to ask Leo if Maya, should she never find a boyfriend, could live with them forever. Or perhaps she was asking if a girl like Maya could even find a suitable boyfriend her own age. What kind of guy would it take to win her over? Chloe didn't want to get married to Leo one day, only to have her best friend living a lonely, solitary life. To Chloe, Leo just seemed like someone who was naturally good at making girls happy, which is why she had impulsively typed out that message. Now, her mind was a mess. The more she looked at what she'd written, the more wrong it felt, as if she were egging her own boyfriend on to cheat on her. Just as she was about to type out an explanation, a voice call from Leo came through. "WH, what is it?" Chloe answered, her voice lacking its usual confidence, a strange nervousness fluttering in her stomach. "Geez, I thought it was your parents messing with me," Leo said with a half laugh. "Why would you ask something like that? Aren't you worried I'd actually go for it? You'd be crying your eyes out." Chloe hadn't planned on responding to her verbal slip-up, but Leo's goading remark ignited her pride. That, combined with how often Leo teased her about Maya, made her miss the fact that it was a deliberate provocation. She took the bait and declared haughtily, "If you actually have the skills to win over my best friend, I'll personally hand you the condoms." "I'm just kidding. Don't say things you don't mean." "A rabbit doesn't eat the grass near its own burrow," Leo conceded after a moment of silence on the other end of the line. "Besides, you said it yourself. Your friend likes older guys. She wouldn't be into a punk like me." "At least you know your place," Chloe said, appeased and triumphant, completely unaware that Leo was already beginning to set the pieces for a grander game. After another 10 minutes of idle chatter, Leo hung up, ecstatic. He paced back and forth in his room, hands on his hips. He never imagined that the solution to the disaster zone he'd been dreading for so long would fall into his lap so easily. Chloe's words weren't exactly a get-out-of-jail-free card, but they would definitely serve as a buffer in any future confrontation. Maya Pierce might just be the key to turning the tables when that day came. In fact, Leo felt that even if he and Chloe broke up, Maya might be the one to help him win her back. As for whether Maya would be hard to pursue, Leo hadn't spent much time with her, but from her social media, he gathered she was a gamer girl who occasionally posted moody, late-night thoughts. More importantly, her emotional intelligence and communication skills were far beyond those of her peers. She was, after all, a girl who liked mature, older men. She wouldn't be as easy to win over as the adorably clueless Chloe. On his own, Leo wasn't confident he could pull it off. He could easily overplay his hand, get caught, and have Maya run straight to Chloe. That would be a catastrophic failure. Fortunately, he had a master strategist on his side. With the system's help and the skills he'd honed over the past year, pursuing a girl with a thing for older men would be a walk in the park. Just then, a knock on the door interrupted his thoughts, followed by a familiar little girl's voice. "Leo, are you home?" I am. Leo hurried to open the door. Standing, there was Maddie Vance, her hair in pigtails, her arms raised for a hug. Leo bent down and ruffled the little girl's hair. "Where's your mom?" "Over there." The little girl pointed toward Lily Reed's apartment. His landlady was inside the opposite apartment, chatting and laughing with Lily. The weather was cold, so Isabel was dressed in a long, gray cashmere coat, a stylish maroon beret, and a pair of short black boots. It was a seasonally appropriate outfit that was both fashionable and warm, giving her an air of mature, stable elegance. It had been a while since he'd last seen her, and Leo thought his landlady's figure seemed even better than before. Curvy in all the right places, slender where it counted. Her pale neck was as smooth as jade, and every smile was as enchanting as ever. Her precious daughter was, of course, bundled up just as warmly. Isabel, terrified of Maddie catching a cold, had wrapped her in so many layers of warm clothing that she waddled like a little penguin. As for Lily, she was wearing the Valentine's Day gift Leo had given her, a royal blue down parka, a simple pair of white jeans, and blue and white sneakers. Even in such a casual outfit, Her stunning beauty and enviable figure couldn't be hidden. In that instant, the two women, different in age, personality, and even style, both turned to look at Leo. Leo had been so busy at the studio lately that it had been some time since he'd seen either Lily or his landlady. They had texted a lot, but they hadn't seen each other in person. When it comes to adult relationships, a child is the perfect cover. Isabel had used the excuse that Maddie missed him to hint several times that she wanted to have dinner with him. Lily was never so forward. When Leo told her he would be busy for a while, she simply waited patiently. When she really missed him, she would tentatively text to ask if he was done with work. If he was, she would happily chat. If not, she would never bother him for a second, only asking if he would be back in the complex the next day, or if she could bring him breakfast or make him dinner. "My darlings, did you miss me?" Leo asked, audaciously opening his arms to both women at once. "Come give me a hug." Isabel's heart skipped a beat. For a second, she almost forgot about the relationship between Leo and the young woman beside her and instinctively started to move forward. But her self-control was strong. She reined in the impulse, pursing her vibrant red lips and shooting a playful, smoldering look at Leo from behind Lily before gently patting the sweet girl's shoulder. "Your boyfriend is calling you. Go on." Lily, oblivious to the silent exchange, beamed and walked toward Leo. Her puffy parka collided with his chest in a soft, muffled embrace. Watching the man she loved hugging the other girl, Isabel pouted slightly, surprised to find that she didn't feel a shred of jealousy. How strange. Building 3, apartment 1702, the landlady's home. In the spacious living room, Leo sat on the plush sofa, holding the little penguin Maddie in his lap as they watched cartoons on the large LCD TV. In the kitchen, Lily and Isabel, two gentle and capable women, were cooking lunch together, laughing and chatting. The thinner-skinned Lily would occasionally glance out at Leo, her cheeks flushing, though he couldn't guess what Isabel had said to her. "Maybe this is the life I've been hoping for," Leo thought, distractedly hugging the little girl while his gaze remained fixed on the supple silhouettes of the two women. If he could just add his beloved elf princess and her best friend, Maya, to this warm, harmonious scene, without having to worry about any disastrous confrontations, with everyone just getting along peacefully, then his life would be truly perfect. Of course, he knew that was impossible, at least for the time being. Even if he could one day convince them all to live together, it would undoubtedly be at the cost of an incredibly brutal showdown. If he were willing to give one or two of them up, things would be much simpler. He could live out the rest of his days carefree, just like this, with his landlady and the sweet girl. But the problem was, he couldn't bear to lose a single one. He would do whatever it took, use any means necessary to keep them all. He was already a walking disaster. There was no reputation left to ruin. Player it is, then. As long as he didn't fail any of these good women and managed to avoid any bad ones, he could live out his days in peace. That would be a perfect life. Maybe one day, when we're all together, I could even... Watching the two beautifully shaped women in the kitchen, Leo couldn't help but recall the last time he'd had his landlady bent over that very kitchen counter. As if by telepathy, the moment the inappropriate thought crossed his mind, Isabel turned her head. Her captivating, almond-shaped eyes looked at him with amusement, the corner of her lips curling into a knowing, seductive smile, as if she knew exactly what he was thinking. "Daddy, I'm hungry," Maddie murmured, looking up from his lap. "I want cake." "Why weren't you calling me Daddy before, but you are now?" Leo asked, pinching the little girl's chubby cheek. "Mommy said I can't call you Daddy when there are other people around," the little girl whispered conspiratorially in his ear. "Only when nobody else is here." "I see," Leo said with a knowing smile. His landlady really did understand him. She was already helping him secretly maintain his chaotic network of relationships. Was this the charm of a mature woman? "All right then, Daddy will get it for you. Where's the cake?" Worried Isabel would scold her, the little girl didn't speak, just quickly pointed toward the kitchen refrigerator. Leo got up, went to the kitchen, and opened the fridge to get the chocolate cake Isabel had bought. Isabel's brow furrowed. "Hey, it's almost time for lunch. Don't give her cake." "A little bit won't hurt," Leo said nonchalantly. He squeezed between the two tall women, leaning in front of Lily, who was slicing cooked beef. "Nice knife skills, Chef Reed. Here, feed me." The space by the stove was tight. Leo's tall frame was like a wall in front of them, blocking both of their views. As he opened his mouth expectantly, his left hand audaciously landed on Isabel's soft, rounded backside. The landlady jumped, her eyes wide with shock as she stared at the brazen young man. Lily didn't notice a thing. Her face flushed as she placed a slice of salted beef into his mouth. Not bad, Isabel," Leo said, looking at the blushing, teeth-gritting Isabel with a smug grin. Very tender. Doesn't feel like old meat at all. Why don't you just choke on it? Go on, get out of here. Don't bother us. Isabel hissed, her face crimson as she pinched his side. Leo, with his thick skin, barely felt it. Maddie, cake time. Having successfully teased her, Leo returned triumphantly with the cake, earning a round of applause from Maddie. Daddy, why did you spank Mommy's butt? The little girl asked innocently, happily eating her cake. Leo ruffled her hair and explained matter-of-factly. Mommy was being naughty, so Daddy has to discipline her. Hasn't Mommy spanked your butt before? Uh-huh. It really hurts when Mommy spanks me. The little girl pouted, then whispered with a triumphant air. Next time, spank her a few more times for me, Daddy. Get revenge for me. Leo nodded gravely. No problem. After lunch, the four of them sat comfortably on the sofa, watching Leo's short-form series on the TV. I saw on TikTok that your show has made tens of millions. Almost 100 million, the landlady asked curiously. Is it really that profitable? It's the age of the internet now, Leo explained patiently. It's just like in your time, Isabel. If you catch the right trend, even a pig can fly. That's true, Isabel agreed. She had come from an era full of opportunities and had seen plenty of people get rich overnight. The richest man in Portland had made his first fortune through shrewd, opportunistic deals. Next, I'm planning to buy a building, sign a few rising stars, and focus on making movies and short-form series, Leo said, outlining his business plan. Lily listened, her spirits sinking. The gap between her and Leo felt like it was growing wider and wider. Leo quickly picked up on her gloominess. He took her hand and said commandingly, I'm about to launch my empire. You're going to have to come help me, you hear? Of course, he had no intention of making Lily his leading lady, nor would he be short on staff. But sometimes, a white lie could go a long way in managing a woman's emotions. It was a key reason why women were so often drawn to players. As always, if a guy could provide the right emotional value, he wouldn't have to chase women. They would come to him. Me too, Leo. Maddie raised her hands happily. I want to be the little fairy in it. Ha ha ha, of course. Maddie could be the female lead sidekick, and we'll have Mommy play the lead. How about that? Yay. And Lily can be the sword-fighting fairy, because she's way bigger than the actress in the show. Maddie, you're being ridiculous, Isabel said, rolling her eyes at the father-daughter duo, but a contented, gratified smile spread across her face. Outside, the wind howled and the sky was a heavy, oppressive gray. But inside, the room was filled with laughter, and the warmth from the central heating seemed to seep into everyone's hearts. After a bit more chatting, it was already around 2 in the afternoon. The cold air outside was intensifying, leaving a faint layer of frost on the window panes. Lily had gone home to study, and Leo, under the pretext of discussing buying a building with Isabel, had naturally stayed behind. In a living room, the family of 3 sat cozily on the sofa. Leo was tying Maddie's hair. She had to go to Ms. Lee's for her piano lesson that afternoon. The little girl still couldn't figure out why. Whenever Leo came over, Ms. Lee always had an important lesson she had to attend. Leo, New Year's is almost here, Isabel said suddenly. Are you celebrating here or going back to your hometown? Definitely have to go back home, Leo said absently. My grandparents aren't used to city life, so we have to go see them every year. That's nice. The countryside is much better than the city, Isabel mused, then casually probed further. So what's the deal with Lily? I asked her earlier, and she said you promised to take her home for the holidays? Yeah, I did, Leo confirmed. I'm going to check out her hometown, hang out there for a few days, then catch a flight to my grandparents' place. Oh, I see, Isabel said. She cleared her throat pointedly. Maddie, who was happily playing on her phone, suddenly felt a chill run down her spine. She turned her head and met Isabel's intense, commanding gaze. Realizing her cue, she remembered what her mother had told her yesterday. She immediately turned to Leo, her face a mask of cuteness. Daddy, can you spend New Year's with me and Mommy? It's just the 2 of us every year. We're so pitiful and lonely. Maddie, don't talk nonsense, Isabel corrected, feigning helplessness. Ms. Lee can come over this year. Maddie pouted, glancing at her mother's protesting too much expression. She continued to look at Leo with wide, pleading eyes, shaking his arm. Daddy, please spend New Year's with us. Please. Of course. I'll spend New Year's Eve and New Year's Day with you and Mommy. How about that? Leo agreed readily, pinching the little girl's cheek. After dinner, we can drive out to the suburbs and set off some fireworks. Fireworks were banned in downtown Portland and most of the city, but some of the unincorporated areas on the outskirts were unregulated. Yay. That's great, Daddy. I've never set off fireworks before. Maddie, who had initially just been angling for chocolate cake, was now dancing with joy at the prospect of fireworks. Seeing that Leo had specifically set aside New Year's Eve for them, Isabel's face lit up with obvious delight, though she still pretended to be concerned. Leo, don't spoil her too much. It won't be a hassle for you, will it? Not all. My parents are easygoing, Leo said, shaking his head. As long as I go back to see the old folks sometime during the holidays, it's fine. He had already sorted out his holiday schedule with Lily, and he knew how much a family atmosphere meant to Isabel. There was no way he would leave her and Maddie alone in Portland on the most important family holiday of the year. That's good, Isabel said, finally relaxing. She was already looking forward to their New Year's Eve dinner together. You should come over early that day. We can go shopping for supplies and buy some new clothes. Oh, it's been so long since we've had holiday decorations up. Leo, when we go shopping, remind me to buy some. You're tall. You can help put them up. Right. And we have to prepare gifts. Ms. Leah's been such a huge help this year. I need to get her family a nice holiday gift. Just as Leo expected, Isabel truly cherished these family holidays. The moment he agreed to spend it with them, she launched into a nonstop stream of plans. The loneliness she had suppressed for years seemed to pour out all at once. It was the first time Leo had ever seen her so talkative. Even Maddie looked at this chatty, unfamiliar version of her mother with surprise. A few minutes later, Isabel took Maddie downstairs and handed her over to Ms. Lee. When she returned, the moment she closed the apartment door, Leo began to tease her. Isabel, if you wanted me to spend New Year's with you, you could have just said so. Why did you have to use Maddie as your messenger? Isabel played dumb, looking down to change her shoes. I have no idea what you're talking about. Leo walked over, scooped the tall woman into his arms, and lifted her off the ground. She let out a startled cry. Leo, put me down. I haven't even changed my shoes. With a satisfied smile, Leo carried her to the sofa, sat down, and settled her onto his lap. He wrapped his arms around her slender waist and looked up at the beautiful woman. He had to admit, Isabel's body was just as the system had described it, incredibly curvaceous. Holding her was like holding a large, warm piece of jade. Isabel instinctively wrapped her legs around his waist, a playful, machinoid smile on her face that made her look like a flirtatious young wife. So, have you missed me lately? Leo asked, his nose filled with the unique, musky perfume of a mature woman, a scent that Lily, Chloe, and the other young women in his life simply didn't have. What's the use in missing you? A certain someone says he'll take care of me and Maddie. Isabel complained melodramatically. But what happens? He turns around and gets together with the girl next door, and I'm left like some abandoned wife, trying to win him back with my daughter. You know, I shouldn't have ever rented my apartment to you, Isabel continued, her eyes sparkling with a playful, teasing light as she gently tapped his nose. Then I wouldn't be spending my days and a days with both me and Maddie thinking about you. You heartbreaker. It's too late for regrets now, Leo said, his hands moving from her waist to the fastenings of her fleece coat. The coat had a unique design, and after fumbling for a moment, he couldn't find the buttons. Isabel, what is this thing? Get off. You're not allowed to wear such complicated clothes anymore, he urged impatiently. Unfasten it yourself, his landlady said with a rare pout, her eyes dancing with a mischievous, seductive charm. Oh, getting feisty, are we? It's only been a few days, Leo said, his competitive spirit peaked. He pushed her voluptuous body down onto the sofa, pinning her waist with his legs, and began to tickle her. Ha! Leo, stop. Ha, don't. Leo, you're still a kid. Isabel squirmed, laughing as she tried to push his hands away. But in their playful struggle, Leo somehow ended up with both of her beautiful legs resting on his shoulders. Around 7 in the evening, Leo lay contentedly on the sofa, watching TV. The central heating kept the living room warm, and after all their earlier activity, neither of them felt the chill. Isabel, clad in a silky blue nightgown, moved back and forth in the kitchen, her graceful silhouette and long legs a captivating sight. Looking at her, she didn't seem the least bit tired. In fact, with the faint, lingering flush on her cheeks, she radiated a unique, sultry charm. I guess it's true what they say. Only worn-out bulls, no overplowed pastures, Leo thought, marveling at her stamina. Women her age were truly formidable. Here you go, my little troublemaker, Isabel said, her voice teasing and intimate. She set a steaming bowl of noodles in front of him, then took a crisp red apple for herself and sat down, munching on it as she sized him up with a satisfied, approving gaze. It was the look of pride most women gave their man after a satisfying session. She was clearly very pleased with his performance. Leo frowned. Isabel, is that all you're having for dinner? Aren't you hungry? I'm on a diet. You eat. Don't worry about me, she said, biting into the apple. She curled her long, pale legs onto the sofa beside her. Her stunning curves, the slender, supple waist, the full, rounded hips, and the long, straight legs were all the result of diet and exercise. Before she met Leo, she hadn't been so strict about her figure. She ate 3 meals a day and would occasionally indulge in high-calorie takeout. But since getting to know him, she'd been meticulously managing her body, constantly watching what she ate, terrified of gaining any weight. For Isabel, age was irreversible. All she had left to keep Leo by her side were her figure and her looks. I prefer a fuller figure, Leo said, picking up his chopsticks with a grin. Too skinny isn't good. The bones just get in the way. Just eat your noodles, Isabel said, but the hand holding the apple paused for a moment. She shot him a sidelong glance, then nonchalantly got up and went to the kitchen, returning with a leftover cake from Maddie's lunch. Leo smiled, triumphant. He stirred the steaming noodles and discovered a perfect, whole poached egg hidden within. An egg and noodles was normal. But when a woman who wasn't your mother made you noodles and added a whole, unbroken poached egg, it was a different story altogether. It was an old-fashioned custom, a subtle hint that probably only people of Isabel's generation would understand. When a woman was serious about a man, she would serve him noodles with a whole egg to show that her heart was true, that she wanted to build a life with him. Isabel was scrolling through TikTok on her phone, pretending to be distracted. Eat up before it gets soggy, she said. Leo smiled to himself. He picked up the egg with his chopsticks, broke the yolk, and ate it slowly. From the corner of her eye, Isabel watched him, and the corners of her lips lifted into a beautiful, satisfied curve. Maddie had dinner at Ms. Lee's and was staying the night there. After their own meal, Leo and Isabel went to take a shower together. In the steam-filled bathroom, they were like an old married couple, soaping each other's backs and gently washing each other down. They had known each other for nearly a year and had done everything. As a mature woman, Isabel felt no shyness about such things. By the way, Leo, are you free the day after tomorrow? I have a party to go to, Isabel said, scrubbing his broad back with a loofah. I mentioned I wanted to introduce you to a few people. Remember? Want to come with me? They might be able to help you when you start your business. Sunday's probably a no-go, Leo said, shaking his head. A good friend of mine is having a birthday, and she specifically invited me. All right then. Another time, Isabel said, not pressing the issue. There would be other opportunities. She did find it a bit of a coincidence, though. The party she was attending was also for a birthday, the 24th birthday of the daughter of Portland's wealthiest man. Isabel had extensive connections in the city, and many of her old business partners would be there. She had hoped to use the event to help Leo network. Leo, Isabel murmured, draping herself over his back without any reservation. She gently swayed against him, a happy smile on her face. I feel so happy. I wish I had met you when I was a few years younger. 1. If you were a few years younger, I probably wouldn't have liked you. 2. Silly. If you were a few years younger, I probably wouldn't have even been an adult yet. Are you trying to get me sent to jail? 3. If you were a few years younger, your husband wouldn't be dead yet, would he? You into that cuckween fantasy? Feeling the softness against his back, Leo said contentedly. Isabel, if you were a few years younger, I probably wouldn't have liked you. Isabel was clearly taken aback. Huh? Why? Because I like older women. Women exactly like you are perfect, Leo said, gently taking her hand. His voice was sincere. You have a gentle understanding that younger girls don't, and you have life experience. Why wouldn't I like that? He felt he was becoming a master of this game, though he still couldn't match the system's genius. This line not only soothed Isabel's insecurity about their age gap, but also expressed his genuine affection for her, a perfect 2-for-1. The system truly was on another level. He added with a half-joking grin, you know what they say online? Youth is wasted on the young. It takes a real man to appreciate a real woman. Humph. You always know just what to say to me, she murmured, her sweet, comforting words making her hug him even tighter. I'm not done yet, Leo said, turning to face her. He looked up at the still stunning landlady and said expectantly, a fancy car can't break your heart, but a woman who knows how to move sure can. You little devil, where do you learn these lines? Isabel scolded, but her eyes were dancing with desire. Soon, the only sound in the bathroom was the distinct squeak of skin against tile. The next day, inside the Mount Tabor Psychiatric Clinic, Eleanor Hayes rested her pale chin on her hand, listlessly arranging the figures in her sandplay therapy box. The energy had completely drained from her. Dr. Nicole Zhang sat nearby, cradling a warm mug of black tea, patiently observing Eleanor's every move, terrified of missing a single micro-expression. Recently, Eleanor's condition had been steadily improving. Her face was far more expressive, and their conversations had become more frequent. Dr. Zhang estimated that in a little while longer, she might make a full recovery and become a normal young woman. The only thing that surprised the doctor was the change in Eleanor's tone of voice. It had become rougher, losing that delicate, shelter quality it once had. She'd even started swearing. Sometimes, when they were deep in conversation, a few coarse words would just burst out. Dr. Zhang wasn't entirely surprised. Reborn into the world, Eleanor was essentially relearning how to exist, absorbing everything around her. Besides, the boy she was fixated on wasn't exactly a gentleman. For a girl, trying so hard to learn about the world, picking up a few swear words from the boy she liked was the most normal thing imaginable. Fuck, I'm so bored. Eleanor irritably knocked over the miniature world she had built in the sandbox, staring glumly out the window at the bustling city below. What's wrong? Dr. Zhang asked with a gentle smile, noticing Eleanor's forlorn expression. Can't think of what to build right now. Would you like a cup of tea to relax? I miss him, Eleanor said bluntly, her cool expression tinged with a hint of helplessness and resentment. It had been almost a week since Leo had last insulted her. He hadn't contacted her at all. When Eleanor tried to start a conversation, he would just give a few dismissive replies and say he was busy. Dr. Zhang took a sip of tea, her sharp blue eyes darting thoughtfully. You haven't tried reaching out to him? I did. He said he was busy. Eleanor murmured, her voice heavy with gloom. Busy with other girls, perhaps? Dr. Zhang asked, equally blunt. She was well aware of Leo's player tendencies. Eleanor shook her head. I don't know. Probably. Jesus, that goddamn player. Does he have a death wish? Daring to so openly two-time the daughter of the wealthiest man in the state. Dr. Zhang's lips twitched. She forced another smile. Well, your birthday is tomorrow. Did you tell him? Is he coming? I told him, but he hasn't replied yet, Eleanor said, her exquisite features clouded with disappointment. Her mood was sinking fast. A jolt of fear ran through Dr. Zhang. She saw a flash of the girl she'd first met, the girl lost in the fog. Why don't you remind him now? She suggested quickly. Maybe he forgot. No. Eleanor shook her head stubbornly. I already told him once. Reminding him again would defeat the purpose. She's developing a sense of pride. Capable of getting moody, capable of jealousy. Dr. Zhang instinctively pulled out a pen and notepad and jotted down her conclusion. Eleanor's condition was clearly almost healed. Soon, she'd be indistinguishable from any other girl. But what made Dr. Zhang deeply uneasy was that this type of illness had a high probability of a catastrophic relapse. If that player didn't show up for Eleanor's birthday party tomorrow, her condition would absolutely deteriorate. Just then, Eleanor's phone buzzed with a new message. Her heart leaped. She snatched up her phone and unlocked it. In the next second, the clouds parted. The gloom on Eleanor's face vanished, replaced by a radiant smile as bright as a starry night. Offline mode. Send me an address. I can come tomorrow. Is that Leo? Dr. Zhang asked tentatively. He remembered my birthday. Eleanor nodded, her heart soaring with joy. Her fingers flew across the screen as she typed out her address. Fuck that damn player. He had me on edge, too. Dr. Zhang finally let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding and drained her mug of tea in one go. Looks like she might be able to close the books on this high-profile case a little earlier than expected. The next morning, Leo was up early. After spending a dedicated half-hour carefully styling himself, he grabbed the birthday present he'd bought for Eleanor the day before and headed out. Driving past Waterfront Park, Leo noticed that a massive commercial tower nearby was illuminated with a pulsing red light visible even in the daylight. It was a short birthday wish displayed on a colossal digital billboard. Happy 24th birthday, Eleanor Hayes. You really have to be rich to celebrate a birthday like this, Leo muttered with a sigh. An ad like that cost tens of thousands a minute. That message had been running since yesterday. God only knew how much it cost. The rich were good at keeping their secrets. Even with such a public display, probably only a handful of people in Portland, or even the entire country, knew Eleanor's true identity. Only those who followed financial news would know she was the daughter of the wealthiest man in Portland. Eleanor's party was being held on a cruise ship, so Leo drove to a private marina owned by the Hayes Group. After parking in the nearby lot, he walked out and saw an enormous, ultra-luxurious cruise liner docked at the pier. Leo had seen this ship on TikTok before. The Empress of the Pacific, the largest and most opulent cruise ship based in Portland. It was the size of 2 football stadiums with 16 decks, over 2,000 staterooms, and capacity for more than 5,000 passengers. From a distance, the stateroom windows looked like a dense honeycomb. At the entrance to the ship, a crowd of wealthy guests in tailored suits and glittering jewels laughed and chatted as they boarded. Uniformed security guards were directing the flow with stern patience. When Leo walked up carrying his gift, his casual attire got him immediately stopped by a guard at the entrance. "Sir, your invitation?" "Invitation?" Leo froze. The little rich girl had given him the location, but she hadn't mentioned anything about an invitation. Seeing Leo's hesitation, the guard offered a polite but firm smile. "I'm sorry, sir. If you don't have an invitation, I can't let you on board." The sudden hold-up attracted curious glances from the other guests arriving for the party. They all seemed to assume security had caught someone trying to crash the event for free food and drinks. "Damn it, that girl is so careless," Leo grumbled under his breath. "Mr. Shepard doesn't need an invitation." Just then, the bodyguard who usually drove Eleanor appeared. He exchanged a few words with the guard at the entrance, who looked at Leo with newfound shock. The bodyguard then turned to Leo. "Mr. Shepard, Miss Hayes has been waiting for you. This way, please." "Mr. Shepard, Miss Hayes will be performing on the piano here shortly. Please help yourself to some food while you wait. I have other duties to attend to." After leading Leo to the 16th deck reception hall, the bodyguard stepped into an elevator and disappeared, leaving Leo standing alone and bewildered in the sea of people. The hall was exquisitely decorated. Flowers and candles filled the ballroom, creating a romantic and warm atmosphere. Long banquet tables were laden with an endless array of food, from delicate appetizers to lavish main courses and mouth-watering desserts, each dish a meticulously crafted work of art. Everywhere he looked, Leo saw businessmen in sharp suits, wealthy women draped in jewels, and even a number of sharp-nosed foreigners speaking fluent English. Most of these people were strangers to one another, but within a few sentences, they were chatting away with fiery enthusiasm. In the center of the hall stood a brand-new grand piano, surrounded by a Western orchestra composed of 4 musicians. They played cheerful, pleasant light music, and every guest's face was beaming with joy. Honestly, even though Leo's social anxiety was no longer crippling, he still wasn't comfortable in this kind of overwhelmingly opulent setting. A strange tension coiled in his gut. "Whatever, I'll just get something to eat." Leo walked straight to the ornate, sprawling buffet table, which was covered in delicacies from around the world. He could barely find any American dishes. After browsing for a while, completely unsure of what to get, he picked up a plate, grabbed a huge shrimp tail, and found a quiet corner to start eating. During this time, several well-dressed, distinguished-looking business magnates came over to strike up a conversation with him. Today was Eleanor Hayes' birthday party, but most of the guests were using it as an excuse to network with other titans of the business world. More friends meant more opportunities, and anyone qualified to attend this party was either rich or powerful. A businessman could never have too many friends. Leo had no interest in getting to know these people. He just wanted to freeload a meal, wait for the little rich girl to finish her performance, and give her the birthday present. But you had to give it to them. Business people were masters of reading a room. When they sensed Leo's impatience, they didn't linger or even leave a business card, simply making a graceful exit. Leo. Just then, a woman dripping in gold and jewels stared at Leo, who was busy gnawing on a shrimp tail. "Is that you?" "Leo Shepard." "Ah, and you are." Leo tilted his head, looking at the vaguely familiar socialite. Felicia shot him a look of mock anger. "It hasn't been that long, and you've already forgotten me? It's Felicia." "Oh, I remember now. It's you, Felicia." It dawned on him. She was one of the rich women Isabel had introduced him to at her bridge game. She held shares in nearly half of the city's most well-known entertainment venues. Wait, if Felicia was here, did that mean his landlady was here too? "Isabel!" Trish shouted across the crowd, pointing at Leo with delight. "Look who it is." From within the throng of people, a graceful figure in a low-cut lavender dress spun around. Her stunningly beautiful face was filled with disbelief. "Leo!" Isabel hurried over, champagne flute in hand, staring at Leo as if she couldn't believe her eyes. "What are you doing here? I thought you were going to a friend's birthday." Halfway through her sentence, a shocking realization hit her. "The friend you mentioned, it couldn't be Eleanor Hayes, could it?" "Huh, you could say that," Leo said, scratching his head awkwardly. So the big event Isabel had wanted to bring him to was the little rich girl's birthday party. "Leo, you know Miss Hayes?" Trish asked, her face a mask of astonishment as she lowered her voice. Isabel also stared at Leo, a wild theory forming in her mind. Leo nodded. "Sort of. Not that well. We only met recently. Did you come alone? Isabel asked tentatively. Leo nodded again. Yeah. Isabel immediately deduced that Leo's relationship with Eleanor was anything but ordinary. Why else would she invite him, and him alone, to her private birthday party? Come with me. Trish, go talk with Linda and the others for me. Isabel's expression turned serious as she dragged Leo out of the reception hall. By now, the massive cruise ship had begun to move, a floating city gliding slowly toward the endless ocean. Leo, tell me the truth. What is your relationship with Eleanor Hayes? Isabel asked in a low, extremely serious voice. Are you involved with her? Isabel, she's helped me a lot. And besides, Leo started to explain, but it felt like he was just digging a deeper hole. He could only apologize helplessly. I'm sorry, Isabel. That's not what I'm talking about, Isabel said, exasperated. You know she's the daughter of Harrison Hayes, the richest man in Portland, right? Leo nodded. He'd known that since they first met on the social app. Then you know what kind of man Harrison Hayes is, don't you? Isabel's voice was laced with both gravity and disgust. Do you have any idea how sick that man is? What? The richest guy in Portland is sick? Is it contagious? The lobster tail in Leo's hand suddenly seemed less appealing. Not that kind of sick, you idiot. He's sick in the head. I knew him before he made his fortune, Isabel said, glaring at Leo before continuing her disgusted account. The man is an absolute monster. He never treated his family like people. He trained Eleanor like a dog from the time she was a child, forced her to learn everything. Mr. Peterson, so many of our friends try to tell him you can't be so harsh with a child, but he was possessed. He wouldn't listen. He called it making sure his daughter wouldn't be mediocre. Oh, no wonder she acts like a robot all the time. So it really is her old man's fault, Leo mused, then asked, but what does that have to do with me? He's not going to try to train me, is he? Leo, do you know where the last boy who tried to pursue her is right now? Isabel narrowed her eyes, her voice dropping to a cold whisper. Where? Leo swallowed, a sudden knot of tension in his stomach. He felt like he had stumbled into some dark, high-society conspiracy. Isabel lightly tapped the plush, vibrant carpet on the deck with her heel. Her tone was ice. At the bottom of the ocean we're currently floating on. His bones have probably been picked clean by now. The richest man in Portland has killed someone? For real? Leo asked, a chill running down his spine. The horrifying news clashed violently with his peaceful worldview. He always felt like that kind of bloody business only happened in other countries. What do you think? Isabel glanced around to make sure no one was close enough to overhear. Every tycoon in there eating and chatting. Which one of them didn't get a little blood on their hands on the way up? So it's true. None of the real big shots with power and influence have clean hands. Perhaps it was from writing so many novels, but Leo's imagination was rich enough that he absorbed and accepted the shocking news surprisingly quickly. Plus, with the system on his side, he wasn't particularly afraid of such things. In this day and age, who didn't have a special background or some secret of their own. So, Isabel, have you ever killed anyone? Leo asked, his curiosity piqued. Isabel paused, a playful, enigmatic smile gracing her lips. What do you think? Vroom. The cruise ship began to accelerate, its massive engines roaring to life. A cool, salty sea breeze gently lifted his landlady's hair, momentarily obscuring her faintly sinister smile. When the wind died down, she raised a hand to smooth her messy locks, her expression once again becoming gentle and virtuous. That dark smile, like the hidden parts of her past, was buried deep, deep down. Leo took a slow breath. He had his answer. Perhaps his earlier suspicions about Isabel were correct. She was definitely more than just a simple landlady who collected rent. Isabel, your necklace is really pretty today, Leo said with a smile, breaking the brief, heavy silence. He reached out and gently touched the chain around her snow-white neck. It was the cheap, unfinished necklace he had given her for Valentine's Day. He never thought she would actually wear it to an event like this. Just like she had promised to bring him to a major event to meet her friends, she didn't care about his ordinary status. So how could he possibly care about what she had done in her past? You want to talk? It was a little too small. I had to have someone resize it, Isabel said with a soft laugh. She understood. This was his way of accepting her hidden past. Well, I've never really bought that kind of stuff before, Leo said with a grin. Next time, we'll go together. I'll pick out a thicker one for you. Something that'll really make a statement. You silly boy. It's not about how thick the chain is, Isabel said, looking at him with a mix of disdain and fondness. It's about who gives it to you. You've got a point there, Leo agreed. So, what are your plans now? Isabel leaned against the railing next to him, taking a sip of champagne. Are you still going to mess around with Eleanor Hayes? I don't know. If her old man steps in to stop it, then I guess that's that, Leo said non-committally, giving a wry smile. I mean, I did mess with his daughter. I don't exactly have the moral high ground. You have a nerve to say that? You spend all day chasing this girl or that one, and now you've even got your hooks in the richest girl in the state. I don't know what I ever saw in a player like you, Isabel grumbled, then pressed. So, do you have any other girls on the side right now? Isabel had never looked into Leo's background or hired a private investigator to track his social life. She knew nothing about what he did when he wasn't around her. And now, please welcome today's guest of honor, the daughter of Chairman Hayes, Miss Eleanor Hayes, who will be performing for us. Just in the nick of time, the MC's voice boomed through the speaker from the reception hall. Isabel, the little rich girl, is about to perform. Let's go see what she's got, Leo said with a sheepish grin, quickly ducking back into the hall. You little bastard. Leo's guilt-ridden reaction infuriated Isabel. A player was a player, always wanting his cake and eating it too. When Leo re-entered the reception hall, a grand and solemn piece of classical music began to play. The MC gestured towards the stage, and like a superhero making their grand entrance, the little rich girl appeared. She wore a light blue princess gown, elegantly holding the sides of her skirt, a shimmering train trailing behind her. In a pair of delicate white high heels, she moved with the poised and graceful steps of a true princess, walking toward the piano in the center of the hall under the watchful eyes of everyone present. The crowd of over 100 people fell silent, all eyes fixed on Eleanor, marveling at the evening star. It had to be said again. No matter how lavishly Eleanor dressed, nothing could compare to the innate aura of nobility that surrounded her. Just by standing there, she created a sense of distance, an untouchable quality, like a real-life princess from a storybook kingdom. Eleanor's cool expression held a hint of urgency. Her slightly dim eyes scanned the crowd, searching for the person she had been longing to see. It wasn't until she sat down at the piano, her slender, pale fingers resting lightly on the black and white keys, that her gaze finally locked onto Leo in the far corner. Leo, who was in the middle of eating a lobster tail, noticed her stare. He raised the tender, juicy piece of meat in a toast, a silent greeting. A radiant, charming smile instantly bloomed on Eleanor's exquisite face, as if she was remembering the wonderful day he had taken her to eat at the food trucks. That subtle, captivating smile made the hearts of all the wealthy young men her age itch with longing. They couldn't help but marvel. She truly was the daughter of Portland's wealthiest man. Soon, a melodious tune flowed from beneath her fingertips. The soothing, light-hearted melody filled the bustling reception hall. Everyone's expression relaxed as they became lost in the gentle rhythm. Even a layman like Leo had to admit the little rich girl played beautifully. But who in this room could have possibly imagined that the girl currently playing the piano, the daughter of the richest man in Portland, the star of tonight's birthday banquet, a goddess in the eyes of the world, was in private a white lotus with a perverted masochistic streak, who liked being cheated on, who impulsively sucked on people's fingers, and whose knowledge of the real world was less than that of a grade schooler. Chewing on the springy lobster tail, Leo smiled to himself and thought, yeah, if only she weren't so messed up. Leo knew nothing about music. He had no idea what the little rich girl was playing, and after what felt like an eternity, she still wasn't done. He had no choice but to squeeze his way back to the banquet table in search of more food. He had just finished an entire plate of pasta when the piano music finally faded. The hall erupted in thunderous applause, startling him. Eleanor held the sides of her skirt and gave a slight curtsy to the guests, her face plastered with a perfunctory, emotionless smile. Her stiff movements betrayed a sense of urgency. As soon as the formalities were over, she dropped her skirt and walked straight toward Leo, a genuine, radiant smile lighting up her exquisitely pretty face. The moment Eleanor stepped into the crowd, guests swarmed her. They raised their champagne glasses, wishing her a happy birthday, their congratulations a never-ending, non-repeating stream of flattery. Out of politeness, Eleanor didn't show any impatience, nodding to each guest who came to celebrate, the commercialized smile never leaving her face. Being a good girl looks exhausting, Leo muttered sympathetically. Eleanor was polite and perfectly ladylike, a master of high society etiquette, yet completely ignorant of the trivialities of everyday life. No wonder Charlotte in the movie was willing to trade a Porsche for a beat-up truck full of sunflowers. Living under this kind of high-pressure, masked existence every day. Forget the little rich girl. Leo felt exhausted just watching her. Leo. Just then, Isabel brought over a young man in his mid-20s and made enthusiastic introductions. This is Grant Wallace, son of the chairman of Wallace Media. Grant, this is my friend, Leo Shepard. He's been getting a lot of attention on TikTok lately. Mr. Wallace, a pleasure. Wallace Media was one of the top film production companies in the country. With his landlady personally building the bridge, there was no way Leo would miss this opportunity. He quickly extended a hand. Leo, Grant said, his tone clearly unenthusiastic. He even hesitated for a few seconds before reluctantly shaking Leo's hand. Grant had been on his way to wish Eleanor a happy birthday. After all, her circle was the most exclusive on the entire ship. He hadn't expected Isabel to intercept him to introduce some new friend. Grant had assumed it would be someone important, only to find it was someone he didn't recognize at all. Looking at the age difference between them, it was obvious. The guy was just some boy toy this rich woman was keeping. If it weren't for his respect for Isabel's status, Grant wouldn't have even given this kept man the time of day. Leo sensed the other man's disinterest and his condescending attitude. The entire speech he had prepared vanished from his mind. He had no interest in flattering people, especially not some self-important rich kid. Isabel was about to try and smooth things over, but seeing that neither of them was in the mood, she kept the introductions brief and ended the unpleasant encounter. Leo, would you like some champagne? Just as Leo was about to answer, Eleanor finally broke free from the crowd. She took quick, joyful little steps, the heels under her gown clacking against the floor as she hurried toward him. Today, Eleanor was the star of the party. With her unique status and stunning looks, she was the center of attention wherever she went. A number of wealthy young men had already started drifting toward Leo's corner, champagne glasses in hand, hoping for a chance to get close to this untouchable White Lotus, the daughter of Portland's wealthiest man. When she reached Leo, Eleanor first greeted Isabel politely. Isabel, hello. It's been a while. Eleanor, happy birthday, Isabel said, raising her glass in a toast. How has it been since you came back? Are you having a good time? Isabel and Eleanor were close. She had practically watched this beautiful princess grow up. Yes, it's been very interesting, Eleanor said, her eyes fixed on Leo. Her gaze then drifted down, locking onto his right hand. Leo quickly hid his hand behind his back, terrified the little rich girl was about to do something shameless in front of everyone. Leo, Eleanor took a step forward, a flower-like smile blooming on her face. With a hint of pride and satisfaction, she asked triumphantly, was my playing fucking awesome or what? Cough, cough, cough. His landlady, who had just taken a sip of champagne, nearly choked. She stared at Eleanor, her face a mask of utter shock and confusion. She couldn't believe that the always elegant and refined Eleanor could utter such a crude phrase. How could one describe the feeling? It was like a goddess who had descended from the heavens, only to open her mouth and speak with a thick rural accent. The sense of dissonance was overwhelming. Grant Wallace watched the intimate exchange between the two, his displeasure mixed with surprise. Why did it seem like this boy toy was so close with Eleanor Hayes? Awesome, totally awesome. And don't stand so close to me, Leo said, raising his left hand to push Eleanor's face away, his heart pounding. He could feel the eyes of the crowd on him, people whispering and sizing him up. Why haven't you come to see me lately? Eleanor asked, a pout in her voice. I told you, I've been busy, Leo explained, then remembered something and pulled a small plastic box from his pocket. Right, this is your birthday present. Open it. A present? Eleanor covered her mouth, her eyes wide with surprise as she stared at the beautifully crafted box. This is for me? You're overdoing it. It's just a gift. Hurry up and open it, Leo said quickly, cutting off her dramatic display. Eleanor opened the box. Inside was a snow-white crystal sphere about the size of her fist. The interior of the sphere was transparent, and when she shook it, she could create a scene of swirling, glittering snow. Your username is Island Snow, right? Leo explained from the side. I was out shopping yesterday and saw this. I thought it matched your name, so I bought it for you. What do you think? Do you like it? Eleanor carefully lifted the crystal sphere from its box, cradling it in her palms as if it were a precious treasure. She nodded vigorously. At all her previous birthdays, the guests had been her parents' business partners. Their gifts were always gold, jewelry, stocks, or funds. Eleanor had no real friends to give her a truly heartfelt birthday present. All she received were tokens of her parents' business dealings. How could she not love this unique little trinket, especially since it was a gift from the boy she liked? Ding. Congratulations, Eleanor Hayes' affinity for the host has increased by 10. Current affinity, 53. Please continue your efforts. Ding. Congratulations. The host has received a mysterious treasure chest. Open it now. Well, looks like she's happy, Leo thought with a satisfied smile, hearing the system's notifications in his head. What? They're friends on the app? Not just Grant and Isabel, but all the other young men who had gathered around were stunned by this revelation. This was Eleanor Hayes, a true heiress who had just returned from abroad, whose father was the all-powerful Harrison Hayes. None of their parents had even managed to connect with Eleanor on a social app. Yet this unremarkable guy, who looked like he'd never even seen a country club, had her on his friends list. Were they really that close? What right did he have? And wait, did a goddess of Eleanor's caliber even use the same mainstream social apps as everyone else? Island Snow. Everyone in earshot mentally filed the username away, planning to try adding it later. Leo, my friend, this piece looks exquisite. It must be quite valuable, right? Grant leaned in, eyeing the crystal sphere curiously, his tone probing. Not expensive. Only $50. 50. That sounds about right. Grant feigned a knowledgeable analysis. Jewelry of this quality would be worth about $5 million. Not $5 million. $50, Leo clarified with a smile. This isn't jewelry. It's just a regular crystal ball. The little rich girl and his landlady were similar in that respect. It was better to give them something with sentimental value than mountains of gold. What? Only $50? Isn't that a bit cheap? Grant said with a disdainful smirk, shaking his head. I'm not trying to be rude, Leo, but who on this ship would dare to give Miss Hayes a $50 gift? Grant, that's not a very nice thing to say. As the old saying goes, it's the thought that counts, the landlady said with a smile, trying to smooth things over. As long as relations hadn't completely broken down, she wouldn't turn hostile. When we give gifts, it's about the sentiment, not about comparing price tags. Leo narrowed his eyes at Grant. He wasn't about to let this guy get away with that. But just as Leo was about to retort, Eleanor's brow furrowed. Her expression turned terrifyingly cold. She raised a pale, slender finger and pointed it directly at the smirking Grant. Her voice, though level, was laced with absolute authority. Fuck you. Get the hell away from me. Silence. A dead, suffocating silence. The atmosphere between them became utterly still. The few wealthy heirs who had been cheerfully approaching to chat with Eleanor froze, their faces masks of astonishment. They simply could not believe that at such a lavish and elegant banquet, they would hear such authentic, vulgar profanity. What was even more shocking was that this crude curse had been uttered, word for word, with perfect enunciation, by the star of the banquet herself. Eleanor Hayes, the daughter of the richest man in Portland. Everyone was dumbfounded. Not just the landlady. Even Leo couldn't believe that such coarse, lowbrow language could come from Eleanor's mouth. Grant, the target of her verbal assault, stared at Eleanor's cold expression, utterly bewildered. The arrogant, superior air he had carried just moments before had completely vanished. Although Eleanor's expression showed little emotional fluctuation, and her exquisite features remained flawlessly beautiful, her voice flat, and even as she cursed, anyone with eyes could see that the little rich girl was genuinely furious. An inexplicable pressure radiated from her, causing beads of sweat to form on Grant's forehead. He instinctively stumbled back a few steps, a horribly awkward smile plastered on his face, a smile that wanted to both break the strange tension and apologize to Leo at the same time. Crash! The sound of shattering glass pierced the silence. A server passing by had overheard Eleanor's curse and dropped a tray of champagne glasses. The amber liquid instantly soaked into the vibrant carpet. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, the server stammered, terrified. A dispute between people of this stature was not something she could afford to get involved in. She quickly bent down, gathered the broken glass, and fled the scene. Thanks to the server's mistake, the bizarre silence began to spread throughout the entire reception hall. Everyone noticed the tense atmosphere around Eleanor's group and turned to look, their eyes filled with curiosity. Business people are masters of observation. A single glance at the faces of the small group was all it took for them to collectively turn their astonished gazes toward the profusely sweating Grant. The once bustling, lively hall fell quiet. Even the orchestra's music trailed off. The foreign musicians looked at the silent crowd in confusion, wondering if the Chinese guests disliked their music, and began whispering amongst themselves about changing the song. In that moment, Grant felt as if he were being judged by 1,000 people. He looked around nervously at the staring crowd, wanting to say something, but not knowing what. The little rich girl's sharp, cold gaze remained fixed on him. All right, it's fine, Leo said, not wanting the incident to ruin her birthday party. He gave Grant an impatient nod, signaling him to leave. Grant, now the center of everyone's condemnation, flashed a grateful, post-disaster smile and quickly escaped from the little rich girl's oppressive presence. It's nothing. The landlady quickly stepped in to smooth things over. As the atmosphere began to relax, she even called out to the foreign musicians in fluent English. Don't mind us. Please continue the music. Why do you get so angry? Leo patted Eleanor's shoulder with a wry smile. You've even learned to curse now? Who taught you that? Eleanor looked up, the last remnants of her anger still lingering in her eyes. I learned it from you, she said truthfully. Whoa, don't spread rumors, Leo denied vehemently, glancing around nervously. A person of my quality, when did I ever teach you to swear? I'll sue you for slander. Eleanor blinked her innocent, bright eyes, a lovely curve finally gracing her lips. You did. You even said that when you're in a bad mood, cursing a lot can make you feel better. Look at you, you silly girl, Leo laughed, handing her his plate. Go on, get some food. Let's go outside and chat, get some air. My social anxiety doesn't do well in big crowds. Okay, Eleanor replied happily, taking his plate and trotting off to fill it with food. You little rascal, did everything I told you go in one ear and out the other? I told you not to get involved with her. Do you really want to end up as fish food? Seeing Leo so brazenly order Eleanor around, the landlady smacked his arm in terror. And you made her get you food? You really have no fear, treating Harrison Hayes' daughter like a waitress. It's fine, we're good friends. Her dad will understand, Leo said nonchalantly, then asked expectantly. Isabel, besides that Grant guy, is there anyone else you can introduce me to? Preferably someone in the film industry. I don't want this trip to be a waste. Isabel was speechless. You already have such a powerful connection. Who else do you need to know? Sai, you don't get it. Eleanor, she's... Leo didn't know how to explain. Never mind. It's too complicated to explain right now. I'll come find you tonight. Want to hang out? Eleanor's birthday party was an all-day affair. The cruise ship had 16 floors, each with various entertainment facilities and restaurants. Since he had nothing else to do for the next few days, Leo planned to fully experience the extravagant life of the rich. You're going to be the death of me, Isabel sighed, rolling her eyes in exasperation. But her tone softened as she muttered, We'll see about tonight. Here you go, Leo. Eleanor quickly returned with a heaping plate of food. A server followed her, looking like she was on the verge of tears, probably terrified that her supervisor would see the richest man's daughter personally fetching food and she'd get fined or reprimanded. Thanks. Leo took the plate and looked at Isabel. You want to come chat with us? I can't. I still have a lot of friends to greet, Isabel said, shaking her head with a weary smile. You two go have fun. We can talk later if there's time. Isabel, what's your relationship with Leo? Eleanor tilted her head curiously. Then her eyes lit up with realization. Could it be that you're also? Landlady. She's just my landlady, Leo cut in quickly, afraid she was about to say something outrageous. Let's go. Show me around this boat of yours. Leo, it's a cruise ship. Yeah, same difference. They both float. Leo, I found a really good movie yesterday. It had a lot of moves I've never seen before. Want me to send it to you? Shit, keep your voice down. Send it to me later tonight. Watching Eleanor trot happily alongside Leo, the landlady sighed with a mixture of helplessness and admiration. That kid, how on earth does he do it? The massive, luxurious cruise ship sailed slowly across the ocean, a veritable metropolis transplanted onto the vast sea. Tourists on the ordinary sightseeing boats that passed by had to crane their necks just to take in the full scale of the colossal vessel. The luxury suites on this ship all had private balconies for sea gazing, like the floor-to-ceiling windows of a high-end condo, offering guests an unobstructed view of the azure ocean. Outside the suite's door, wealthy young men holding champagne glasses would occasionally wander by. They were all using the excuse of offering birthday wishes to try their luck at getting close to Eleanor Hayes. In high society, Eleanor was a household name. The young scions who had met her before sang her praises, describing her as a goddess descended to earth. Now that Eleanor was back in the country, any young man who had held doubts was completely captivated by her beauty. Upon learning she was still single, they were all eager to see if they could strike up a conversation with this untouchable White Lotus. Successfully winning her over wouldn't just mean landing a goddess-level girlfriend. It would be a golden key capable of transforming their family's fortunes. Unfortunately, a towering bodyguard stood guard at the suite door. Anyone who approached with a champagne glass was politely turned away. But if these young men were allowed inside, their worldview would likely suffer an even more devastating blow. Inside the luxurious suite, on the private balcony, Leo was distractedly nibbling on a shrimp tail, watching in exasperation as Eleanor sucked on his fingers. He truly had no idea what kind of seasoning his hand possessed that made the little rich girl so captivated, more engrossed in it than she was with the lobster tail. When she finished, Eleanor cupped Leo's hand in both of hers and rubbed her smooth, pale cheek against it like it was a priceless treasure. She looked up with desirous, almond-shaped eyes, her smile ecstatic and slightly crazed. Leo, The elegant young woman from before seemed to have transformed. Her face was flushed with a frenzied obsession, her voice thick with a hungry desire. She threw herself into his arms, taking deep, ragged breaths. You haven't insulted me in so long. Can you please insult me? Oh my God, can you just act normal? Leo said, pushing against Eleanor's smooth, exquisite face, his heart pounding. He was terrified she'd pick up even more of his vulgarities. If her old man, Harrison Hayes, found out she learned this new vocabulary from him, his chances of ending up at the bottom of the ocean might just increase. What part of me isn't normal? Eleanor retorted with earnest stubbornness. You're the one who said my hobby was just a little niche. Fine, but I'm not in the mood right now, okay. Then I'll let you touch my legs, Eleanor declared, lifting her small face with determination. Hiss. Leo instantly capitulated. The problem is, how am I supposed to touch them in that dress? Eleanor's princess gown had a skirt like an inverted bowl, its voluminous layers completely obscuring her legs. He couldn't possibly crawl under there to touch them. That would be too perverted. Here. Eleanor pinched the fluffy hem of her dress and shamelessly lifted it, revealing a pair of slender, snow-white legs that made Leo's eyes widen in appreciation. As if on cue, a strong gust of wind blew in from the sea, catching the lifted hem and making it flutter wildly. A flash of white flickered across Leo's vision. Ah! Eleanor let out a shy squeak, quickly pressing her hand down on the wind-whipped skirt. Her pretty face flushed a faint red. Did you see? Yeah, I saw. So what? They were white, Leo answered truthfully. He was used to his abnormal conversations with the little rich girl. Why, you're lewd, Eleanor whispered, her voice barely audible. She shyly averted her gaze to the endless ocean, leaving Leo with a profile of breathtaking beauty. Huh? Me? Lewd? Leo scratched his head, completely baffled by the little rich girl's bizarre sense of shame. Her previous actions had been as brazen as they come, practically tattooing the words kinky and masochist on her forehead. And he was lewd just for accidentally seeing her underwear. Besides, anyone else on this entire ship could call him lewd, but not her. Then again, this was the first time Leo had ever seen Eleanor act shy. All right, I won't look for free. Leo picked up a shrimp tail from the table beside them and dangled it, as if teasing a puppy. Eleanor pouted, then opened her cherry-red lips to take a bite. Leo immediately, mischievously, pulled the shrimp tail higher. After a few rounds of this, she couldn't help but break into a small smile. Puffing out her pale cheeks, she threw herself into his arms, wrapping her hands tightly around his waist. She looked up with a playfully aggrieved expression and grumbled, Leo, you're so annoying. Thanks, I get that a lot, Leo said smugly, popping the shrimp tail into his own mouth. He wrapped an arm around her slender waist, contentedly feeling the sea breeze on his face. He had to admit, the life of the rich was different. Even the ocean wind tasted saltier. The little rich girl rested quietly in his arms, gazing at the man she had been thinking about day and night. Her heart began to beat inexplicably faster. Leo suddenly looked down at her, a playful smile on his face. Hey, little rich girl, I just thought of a joke. Want to hear it? Eleanor nodded, looking up at him obediently. Leo gazed out at the boundless ocean and said with perfect articulation, Do you know why the Titanic sank? Because it hit an iceberg. Some also say it was because the cargo in the hold was improperly stored, causing the ship's weight to shift and capsize. The knowledgeable Eleanor replied instantly. She had seen the classic film several times while abroad and knew the story inside and out. Wrong, Leo grinned, answering in a low voice. It's because Jack unscrewed Rose. Huh, what does that mean? The little rich girl tilted her head innocently, trying to figure out how Jack could have possibly unscrewed the bolts of such a massive ship. Leo leaned in close to her ear and whispered the explanation. Eleanor's pretty face instantly flushed a deep crimson, as if a single drop of blood might spill from her cheeks. Leo, you're so bad. The little rich girl felt as if her pure soul had been utterly defiled. She never imagined that the names of the main characters from such a romantic movie could be used in such a vulgar way. What do you know? Leo said with a smug, mischievous grin. This is what we call the profound depth of culture. Nonsense, this is just being a pervert. Eleanor retorted, her face beat red. The phrase Jack unscrewed Rose echoed relentlessly in her mind. Oh, you're blushing? Let me see, Leo said teasingly, craning his neck to get a look at her flushed cheeks. He was starting to understand her strange sense of shame. The main reason Eleanor was so nonchalant about her previous series of kinky behaviors was that when Leo first met her, he had told her those hobbies were perfectly normal, just a bit niche. She had believed him, so she felt no shame in doing those things. In fact, she found them exciting. The reason she was embarrassed by dirty jokes and accidentally flashing him was because those were things that fell within her existing understanding of the world, things he hadn't warped for her. It was normal for her to feel shame about them. "You're just too awful," Eleanor said, hugging his waist tightly and burying her hot, crimson face in his chest, chiding herself shyly. "And I'm a bad girl, too, for liking a bad guy like you." 1. Wrap your arm around her slender waist, press her against the railing, and kiss her passionately. 2. Caress her face, gaze deeply into her eyes, and kiss her with gentle dominance. 3. Carry her in a room in a princess hold, toss her onto the soft bed, and possess her roughly. Leo figured that with an atmosphere this good, not stealing a kiss would be a waste. He wrapped one arm around Eleanor's waist, caressed her burning cheek, and looked into her shy, darting eyes as he leaned down. Wait. Just as their lips were about to meet, Eleanor gasped and forcefully pushed him away, her heart pounding as she turned her back to him. "I am not ready yet." Leo was baffled again. He had thought the little rich girl had some even wilder idea in mind, but it turned out she just wasn't ready. What kind of logic was that? Thump, thump. Eleanor pressed a hand to her racing heart. She couldn't understand why she had rejected him. The last time they'd kissed, she hadn't felt anything at all. This time, just looking into his eyes made her inexplicably nervous. "What's wrong with you?" Leo patted her shoulder, curious. "You don't come any closer." Eleanor flinched as if electrocuted, quickly putting distance between them. She pointed to the space between them. "Just stand there and don't move." "What is your deal?" Leo frowned, perplexed. The little rich girl was acting very strange today. Eleanor hesitantly walked back over. Without looking him in the eye, she first took his hand and gave it a little shake, then gently patted her own cheek with it. As if she had found some familiar feeling, she squeezed her eyes shut, puckered her lips slightly, and waited nervously for Leo to make his move. Leo smiled in understanding. He now knew what was going on in her head. Eleanor had never had much contact with boys growing up. Forget about a normal relationship. Any boy who even got near her would be driven away by her bodyguards. Her affinity for him was now over 50, a score that squarely placed her in the throes of a passionate crush. The problem was Eleanor didn't know how to handle this new, overwhelming emotion. She didn't know how to face the boy she liked. Aside from her kinky behaviors, her mindset was becoming more and more like that of a normal girl. It was only natural for her to feel shy about kissing the boy she liked. In short, Eleanor was transforming from a girl with no emotions, no common sense, and no relationship experience into a normal girl who had fallen head over heels in love. "Relax," Leo soothed, then slowly, gently, captured her lips with his. Inexperienced, Eleanor's shoulders tensed, her breathing growing ragged and uneven. Her hands, which had wanted to push him away again, were now clenched into tight fists, unsure of where to go. They ended up hovering awkwardly in front of her chest, like a boxer's guard. One floor below them was the bustling reception hall, filled with business tycoons attending her birthday party. The thought that today's guest of honor, the center of everyone's attention, the little rich girl, the daughter of the wealthiest man in Portland, was in his arms, letting him do as he pleased, while her ever-present bodyguard stood guard outside the door. It made Leo's actions grow bolder. His hands moved, as if of their own accord, and gently cupped her. Unexpectedly, the little rich girl was surprisingly well endowed. "And no, stop it, Leo, you're awful, you're bad." Just like before, the little rich girl whispered a line identical to the one the elf princess had said when they kissed. Under the influence of a uniquely feminine modesty, Eleanor's hands weakly gripped his wrists. She wanted to push him away, but couldn't bear to, so she just held them there, a symbolic but motionless gesture. A long time later, Eleanor collapsed limply in his arms, exhausted. Her pale throat moved as she gulped for air, panting like a fish thrown onto the shore. "Damn, I've become a bad girl." Leo thought to himself, if a kiss makes you a bad girl, what happens if we do more? Will that make you a sinner of epic proportions? "It's all your fault." Eleanor whined playfully, burying her face in his chest. "I was never like this before. My bad. Should I apologize?" Leo teased with a grin. "No need." After a moment of tenderness, Eleanor took a step back. She clasped her slender, pale hands behind her back, straightened her lithe and graceful figure, and offered a brilliant,